2, 1, go.
Good evening, everyone. I am Mark Mendoza. I am no paid spokesperson. You got the real thing tonight. Anyway, the show is 22 Now. The network is Area 22 Productions. And as usual, we're on every Wednesday night, just about. Once in a while, we just don't kind of make it. But we're usually here on Wednesday night, and we usually have a lot of fun with this. And I usually say, and I'm using the word usually a lot, that I have a special guest on every Wednesday night. And they're all special to me. They're special ed, that's what they are. But in any case, I have a very good friend of mine on with me tonight. I was originally on his show quite a few years ago.
Yes, sir.
And it was a hell of an experience. And I'm going to purposely say your name wrong, just like everybody else does. I'd like everybody to welcome a great musician, a great talk show host, and a great guy, Jim Chinnici.
Close enough.
Right.
Jim Chinnici, close enough.
Chinnici.
Close enough. The next shirts that I put out, I'm going to have the pronunciation underneath.
Right, you're going to say, I am Jim Chinnici.
I am Jim Chinnici. And I am not
Jim,
a paid
welcome to the
spokesperson.
show.
Thanks, Mark. I am
Yes.
so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to see you. It's been way too long, brother.
We were just hanging around over in our green room, which isn't green. It's more like just a disgusting color. But we were talking about when I was on your show the first time.
Yes.
And how long ago was that?
It was 2015, so it's almost 4 years
4
now.
years ago. So I get a call from Danny Stanton. Right, we know Danny well.
We love Danny.
And here comes
Just fixing the mic.
my engineer fixing stuff live on the air. Look
That's
at
what he did.
that.
That's what he did.
He works on the fly. I like
I
it.
get a call from Danny Stanton saying, "Hey, you want to be on the Jim Chinnici show?" And I'm like, "Who?" He goes, "Listen,
fair.
it's either going to be like a disaster or you're going to have an amazing time." "Oh, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I'm up for anything like that." He goes, "Go in there and take over." He goes, "Do what you do." Okay, I'll do that. So I remember we set up an evening, and I remember it was pretty cold outside.
It was probably like November or something.
Yeah, it was
to that
cold.
effect.
So let me set up what happens, because most people don't know about that.
No,
part
it's
of
a
the
great
show.
story.
It's really interesting. So I, put the address in the GPS because I knew the neighborhood. I just didn't know exactly where the house is.
Sure.
Because I'm like, I got a built-in GPS. In any case, so I show up in front of the house, and average neighborhood-looking house and stuff, except for the fact that it had hot rod cars and pickup trucks all over the front.
All over.
There was this young kid, probably early 20s compared to me, because I'm really old. And there was a young
35
kid.
is not old, by the way.
35?
35.
Yeah, I would do anything to be 35 again.
Yeah, me too. You ain't the only one, pal.
In any case, so there was this young guy working on a Dodge Cummins pickup, a diesel pickup. So, and it looked like he was a little lost in it. I don't want to embarrass him or say something wrong. So I walk up to him, and he's got the injector pump out of the truck, and I guess he rebuilt it or something like that. And he's trying to put it in 180 degrees out of a sink, right? He's putting it in backwards. So I suggested to him, and he goes, "No, I said, "No, it doesn't go in this way. Turn it around." So he did. Turned it around. We bled the lines. I'm not going to make a long story out of it. We bled the lines, cranked it over, and it started right up.
Right up.
And he looked at me and he goes, "How did you know that?" I said, "I do." He had no idea who I was or am, and not whatsoever. So I said, "There you go." So obviously, I smelled a little bit like diesel fuel.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 or 3 minutes into the time I'm supposed to be on the air, and I walk in the house, and you guys are already talking and having a ball, and I sit down, and who was sitting to my left?
It was me.
No, you weren't there.
You weren't there. I looked for you. It was probably Johnny or Adam, one of the two real big guys.
So he's like, he goes, "Somebody smells like jet fuel or diesel fuel." I said, "That would be me. I was working on the pickup truck in front of the house." So we got to talking about that before anything, and everybody was really surprised that I knew anything about that. But the world doesn't know that I'm a pretty damn good mechanic and built everything myself over the years. I've been a motorhead forever, whether it's motorcycles or cars or trucks, and a couple of diesel locomotives. In any case,
There's stories your hands could tell alone.
Exactly. So, but it was funny. That's how my evening started out at your show. And Danny Stanton said, "Listen, go on the show, take over, do what you want. It's only an hour. We ended up staying on the air for 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours.
And we all had to pee really bad.
It was, honestly, by the time we were done, I was completely blue in the face.
Teeth were floating.
Your teeth were floating.
Wow.
And it took us like a good 15, 20 minutes for all of us to get out of there.
Right.
So I had a huge crew in the studio with me, and because we formed a line at the bathroom, and
it was. I went outside and peed in the bushes.
I never ran so fast in my life to get to a door.
It was
never ever
ridiculous. Plus, you got to go and you're laughing.
Yes.
That makes it worse.
Yes, it was totally made it worse.
Man, I got to stop that. It really makes it worse.
But we had such a great chemistry and a connection that, you know, it really didn't even dawn on us to stop talking until it was the point where we were like, we were all doing the dance in our chairs.
Right.
You know,
I gotta go.
And it was such a fascinating evening to learn about each other and where we all came from. I found out so much about you that night that I didn't know from a personal perspective. You know, as a fan, I know a lot of where you came from musically, where you went, and all this stuff because, again, you know, that you were on my wall, and I don't say that to try to be, you know, like ironic or anything like that, but legitimately you were on my wall.
Right, I saw the poster there.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
And you know,
and it had your lipstick all over it.
We weren't going to talk about that part.
Oh man.
All right, next time. We can edit that whole thing out. It doesn't matter. But you know, so it was such an awesome thing to have that chemistry and develop that kind of rapport between us.
Sure.
You know that. You know, I know neither you or I were thinking about. You know, I gotta go because it just didn't happen that way. It was such a radical, awesome conversation that struck up a friendship that obviously has lasted till this day. You know, and it made me so happy. But by the point that we did finish talking, oh my goodness, my Vlada was really upset with me.
The only reason we stopped is because we all had to go to the bathroom.
Right.
That was the only reason. It was like, all right, it's time to go now.
Absolutely.
It was a very funny night. I have to say, it was one of the better interviews I had been involved with in my whole career. I mean, there was a lot that I remember, some great interviews, but that one was very funny, and it didn't stop.
No, it didn't stop because we were just.
I mean, I think I threatened everybody in the basement that day.
You did.
Yeah.
You did, and you know, again, at the end of the night, we took photos, and you know, you turned around, those Mendoza hands, those infamous Mendoza hands, wrapped around my throat, and I was like, if I die right now, I die happy. This is it. I'm good. Like, I'm totally okay with this.
Mendoza did it.
Exactly. You know, I mean, the newspapers, the photos will look awesome in the paper. You know, and it'll be a good time. It'll be a great story to tell on my way up to heaven.
It really was. It was a lot of fun. It was a great evening. But that was an interview for me. Tonight, we're interviewing you.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I'm not usually on this side of the fence.
No, well, you don't have a choice now.
All right.
Yeah, you don't have a choice now. So let's go back a little bit.
Sure.
How long had you been doing the show when I was on?
Actually, probably about 7 months. I don't think it was even that much longer than that.
Because I'd only heard about it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Because before that, I didn't know you.
No, we did not know each other. I come out to shows. We have plenty of friends in common.
Right.
But we had yet to cross paths ourselves.
Sure.
You know, I mean, between Russ, Danny, a couple more you crew guys, Dwayne, all those dudes. You know, we've known each other for a long time.
We don't talk about Dwayne.
Again, you got to edit that out. You keep working on it.
An hour and a half.
Right.
You're going to be hearing that a lot all night.
Dwayne.
And, you know, so you and I had never crossed paths. And when I first started doing the show, it was right after the unfortunate passing of AJ Piro. And I had actually talked to JJ. Mm-hmm. You know, Danny had set me up with JJ. JJ promised to give me 15 minutes. That turned into 45. And that interview took off everywhere. It was all over the dirt sheets and everything else.
He's also a great interviewee.
Amazing
stories, and he knows how to speak, and he does a great job. Mm-hmm. You know, when everything's lined up right, he really is a great on a talk show.
And I was terrified because maybe I'm about 3-4 weeks in at this point. Terrified, but you know. I'm the person where I come from is that I think I can do something and I'm going to do it, you know, and I kind of get that tunnel vision and that nervousness turns into butterflies and I'm ready to attack, you know what I mean? And so I'm on with JJ and it's intimidating because JJ's JJ.
Yeah, of course.
You know, and JJ does not suffer fools lightly, as do you.
It doesn't intimidate me though.
No, well, it doesn't intimidate you because, again, that you know, it's you guys.
Yeah,
you know, 40, damn near almost 50 years, every part of the world, you know, from hand to fist to, you know, to the biggest band on the planet.
Right.
You know, and I totally get that. I'm a kid that bought your records And here I am talking to JJ French on the phone, and I just started doing this gig.
Oh, you guys wasn't in person?
No.
He was on the phone?
He was on the phone, which made it even more
I
intimidating.
remember he
to me.
did the interview, but I didn't remember that it wasn't in person.
No, it wasn't in person because he was doing the rounds of press
Right.
to talk about AJ's Death and where everything goes from here. And I'm not even sure if at that point you guys had decided to retire yet. That's how far back it goes.
No, we didn't. We made that decision that we were going to go on, but we didn't. We had made the decision on Mike Portnoy. No disrespect to AJ, but that was his pick, AJ's pick.
Yeah.
He had said if something happens to me, I want my good friend Mike to do this, and he can do it. So we pretty much knew that if we were going to play, that was the way we went. And of course, that's the way we did go with Mike Portnoy, who's a fantastic guy and an amazing drummer.
Amazing drummer.
Yeah, just you could talk about him for hours.
Fit the mold.
Yeah.
Because I had seen Twisted a couple of times at that point with the whole original lineup, the first time being New York Steel.
Right, of course, yeah.
And that was unfortunate because...
And at New York Steel, we hadn't played in, 13 years?
13,
Something
14 years.
Yeah, 13 years.
And the thing that broke my heart about it was, being that it was my first time, is that when I was a kid, my dad worked security at Radio City Music Hall.
Okay.
You guys were playing there with Dokken.
Oh, yeah, headline tour.
On my hands and knees, begging him to bring me in. He worked the shows. I was 11.
A punk-ass kid.
I was a punk-ass kid, you're exactly right. And he would not take me. Then after that, Maiden played there with Queensryche.
Right.
Begged him to take me to see that. Nope, nothing doing. He would not bring me in to see any one of those shows.
Really?
Again, I'm just a little nard bouncing off all over the place, and... my father sees an image. He doesn't hear the music. Like, he doesn't get it like I got it.
Right, of course.
And of course I don't get my kids' music like I got, like I got my music, And so I had to wait all that time to see you guys live. And it was a religious experience for me because I'm like, oh my God. Like, I've seen every band that I've wanted to see. I've met tons of rock stars all over the place. This is it. And this is so amazing to me, And when I learned of AJ's Death and hearing through the grapevine that you guys were going to go on, I was just like, it's got to be the right guy. Because there's so many drummers out there that are great drummers, but there's not that feel. And there's not that connection to the music.
In the inner workings of Twisted Sister, and I don't mean business, but the way we play music and attack something live, we needed to find someone who could basically imitate AJ as close as possible. It didn't have to be exact, but the way D requires you to play live, to do his act, the way he bounces, the way he moves, the music has to move a certain way,
right.
And it's a little bit different every night. It's never exactly the same. The tempo of the songs, I mean, they're always fast, that's
right,
for sure.
Of course,
but you need to follow. You need to have someone who can watch how he's moving, as AJ did, and would stay with him.
Right.
Although the drummer sets the rhythm and the pace of the band, it's really D that does it. And he's not demanding. I'm not sitting here saying like D just says it, but we know as a band we followed his pace,
right.
His meter, what he needed to get, however he needed it to get the job done. That's why it works so well.
Right.
As musicians, we understood that we had to do it a certain way. That's what he needed. And if you don't deliver that, then you're not doing your job. You can't say it's right or wrong. It's what's needed to be done. So we had to find a guy, and AJ already had expressed that he wanted Mike Portnoy to take his place if something happened to him, and so awful that it really did happen to him.
Of course it is.
But we talked to Mike Portnoy, and we got him everything, every audio track, every live video we could give him so he could study AJ's parts, and he knew most of it already because he'd seen us so many times live. And 2 weeks later, he says, "Oh man, let's do a rehearsal." What? Because I think I got it down, and he had 99 and 9/10% of it down.
Right. And he
got the part where he had to follow how D was moving. I mean, it wasn't drastic. You really couldn't tell.
Right.
But it was just, you had to feed the monster, and that's what he needed to get his job done. The rest of us could play along.
Right.
And he wasn't egotistical or megalomaniac about it. He's just like, this is just what I need to get my job done. It may not be correct in musical terms, just but why, please, I need this. Yeah, it was never a thought of, we can't do that.
Right.
No, we did it, and AJ worked into that many years before in the club days. So we were used to that, and we were fearful that we had to bring another drummer in and try to get someone to reproduce some of that. And Mike Portnoy is a professional to the utmost degree. It really is. He came in and did exactly what we needed him to do, and did no more and no less. And he became a good friend and another person in the band to have around. He really was. And he made our jobs, the transition, very easy, which is a tough thing to do when you take a combination of people, that type of mechanism where the gears mesh and everything so well, and you got to replace a gear. That's a tough thing, and you see that sometimes has a big negative effect on other bands. We try to make it as smooth as possible for D, and of course the audience.
Of course.
We wanted the audience, and of course he was well known and he was well loved by everybody. So it was an easy transition. He's a great guy. He's a professional, and we all know what he's done in life, from Dream Theater to Winery Dogs, and it just... stupendous playing with him is great. Do we miss AJ? No two ways about it.
Right.
AJ's personality and drumming, he's a monster.
Right.
AJ is just a monster. No one hits drums as hard as AJ.
Nope. And
nobody has the stamina he does. I'm not taking anything away from Mike.
No, it's two different animals.
Mike Portnoy was an AJ Bureau fanatic.
Yeah.
He really was. And that whole time was so rough on us, and of course AJ's family, and to just one night he's gone. Very tough. And other bands go through it, and I don't take anything away from anybody, but it was crushing to know that 1/5 of the band was gone and would never show up again.
Yeah.
It really was. And I don't think I'm not saying I don't think I know we never really got over it as a band,
No,
as
of
a
course
bunch of
not.
guys, because we're all friends and we went through life together, good times and bad times. So,
Right. Your family. It's not even a friendship. There's a love
People
there.
don't understand it's the personality too. AJ was one of the funniest guys in the band. It really was a funny guy, and you take that out of the mix. Mike was funny too. I mean, he really was when he started, opening up and things that people don't see is the inner workings of the band and the comedy and things like that. And I'm not talking about business. I'm talking about the comedy side of it. And I think that it'd be interesting to talk to Mike about this one day. I'm going to get him on the show.
I'd love to hear his side.
Yeah, but he was a little in shell shock because his wife, Marlene, was very funny. She would come around the first few shows we did, and my band, you don't know the guys well. It's a tough crowd to be around, probably the toughest. You get physically, mentally, and verbally abused in comedic form, of course. And Mike walked in and he started getting torn apart. Not his drumming, just anything you can goof on about him.
Sure.
And I think his head was spinning for the first week or two. And his wife, one day, when we played the Starland Ballroom in New Jersey, and I don't mean to be harping on this stuff, and I'm supposed to be interviewing you.
No, it's fine, because we're having a rapport. We're going back and
exactly. So I just want it to be like a couple guys hanging out.
Yeah,
the stories.
you know how I
but,
go.
After this, we're gonna get back to a couple things, because I got some. I want to put you on the spot on a couple.
That's
of things.
fine. It's my pleasure.
And, but to go on with the story, we played the Starland Ballroom with Mike. I think it was only the second or third or fourth show that we had played, and. At the end, his wife Marlene was there, and we're tearing him to pieces. I mean, he's getting hit from every direction. Whether we're crushing him or hugging him or just, verbally abusing him. So everybody runs out. We're at the end of the show. Everybody's running out because we have a fans we have to meet downstairs, and I'm slipping my boots back on, and she's just sitting there, looking at me with deadpanning me, and I'm like, oh, this woman is pissed off. This woman is pissed off. So I go, Marlene, you mad or something? She goes, no, why? I said, you just watch us tear the crap out of your husband. And it's like, no, you kidding? Everywhere he goes, everybody goes, oh, yes, bow to the great Mike Portnoy. You guys treat him like trash. It's so great to see that. So like, okay, so we did all right. She goes, yeah, it's nice to see him get knocked down a couple of notches. But we love you, Mike. We really do. We do.
And that's, getting back to my point about him, is that when you came out publicly with the decision, I was like, that is the perfect guy, because he's the guy who grew up on that stuff. He was born and raised on the island. He knows the legend. He was in the clubs.
Yes.
He got it.
Yeah, and no two ways about it.
Because
he really did.
Again, those songs, there's a very few certain bands that have a certain swing and a certain sound to their music. And when you replace a key member, like a drummer, because I've seen it happen in other bands too, where the songs are still just as good, but that certain swing is gone.
Well, it's the feel of the music that we all developed, but AJ developed that part of it.
Right, but Mike was able to bring a small part of it back, where other drummers who replaced other drummers in other bands weren't able to bring that swing in.
Right.
So that's where the huge difference was for me personally, and that's when I knew. I knew that was going to be the right guy, because I knew what he was going to bring to the table.
And it was great. Mike was such a great sport about it. The very first tour we did, especially in Europe, AJ always did a drum solo or most of the time did a drum solo in Burnin' Hell. Mm-hmm. The song went in, right at the end of the song, we would go into drum solo. So what we did was we took one of the last drum solos that we actually had recorded, video and audio, and Mike watched AJ and learned what he was doing to go into the solo, and he started playing it, and you thought that Mike was going into a drum solo, and all the screens, he just played along with AJ, and AJ came up on all the screens, and he stopped playing, and the world was watching AJ Pirro do a drum solo, and stadiums went nuts because AJ was up on the screens, and we did that for that whole summer. Mm-hmm. And Mike, we would say to Mike, we don't want to take it. He goes, "Are you kidding? It's AJ Pirro, man. I bow down to him. It's great that you guys are doing this." And just he goes, "I don't need to do a drum solo. I'm here to be the drummer in the band." And he just did not even flinch at us doing that, and the world loved it. The whole rock world loved it. Every place we played that we had big screens, and I think that was virtually every night that we played that whole summer. It was just great. The response was amazing, and it was great to see AJ up there. Of course, it brought a tear to your eye.
I saw it. I saw it at Starland.
Okay,
it was very emotional to me.
Yeah, okay.
It was so, and again, especially considering that whole family, the whole Twisted Sister family, is in the room that night.
Yeah.
It brought an extra tear to my eye.
Right.
Because you could feel the love in the room. It was so amazing. For such a small room, you had a heart the size of a stripper's boob. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
In that whole room. It was amazing to me. And I still, I can close my eyes right now, and I see it exactly as it happened.
I saw it many, many nights that year that AJ passed away. But all right, let's move on a little bit.
Okay.
Enough about Mike Portnoy. Actually, one more thing about Mike.
Okay.
I have to say that we saw Laura and I went and saw the Winery Dogs about a month ago in Sony Hall in the city. I have to say, and I don't know if they're watching or listening at all, but I have to say that was one of the best shows I have seen in years. Not only are those guys the cream of the crop of musicians, Mike Portnoy, Billy Sheehan, and Richie, of course.
Oh my God.
And we were just talking about him, which we'll get into in a minute. Not only were they amazing, they have a new sound engineer who, by the third song, dialed it in like it was the biggest stereo in the world.
Right.
And you heard every single thing that was going on. You heard all the vocals, and just phenomenal. It was Riff City that night. It really was. It was. I want to say that half the room was probably musicians crying because they can't do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is just amazing. And then at the end of the night, of course, we hung out. We talked to Mike, and I got to talk to Billy for a while, Billy Sheehan, which he's one of my idols, man. And he says the same thing to me. He goes, "You got to teach me some of that stuff." I'm like, "I don't know how to teach this. Are you kidding? You got to teach me what you do." So it was great talking shop with him about equipment and bass rigs and bass guitars, and he asked me questions and getting to know him. Of course, I've known him for years, and then Richie Kotzen too. Talk about an underrated guitar player, singer, and songwriter. His solo stuff is killer.
It's criminal.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the Winery Dogs.
No, of course not.
I'm a big Dog fan. There's no two ways about it. But his solo stuff, getting away from the Winery Dogs, his vocals, his guitar playing, his songwriting, just amazing.
It's incredible where he came from to to where he is now.
Sure.
Because when he was a kid, he was on Mike Varney's Shred label.
Of course.
And, 8 fingers, 8 toes.
Right.
And to me, don't even bother me with any of that nonsense, because you can't wrap a song around it. I don't want to know about
Right,
it.
of course.
But as he matured, I watched him join Poison. And that album that he did with Poison is a rare gem. It is fantastic. Every song is top of the line. Richie's vocals, you have Poison, nothing but a good time Poison, and then you flip the script 180 degrees, and you have Poison, Native Tongue Poison. It's night and day. He brought that band up a huge notch musicianship-wise, and I love Poison. Huge fan.
Oh yeah, great guys, big Poison fan.
Dark and Light, unbelievable record. And just following him through the years after that, watching him play acoustic shows on YouTube and everything like that, I'm like, why is this guy playing small clubs when he should be headlining stadiums around the world? Like, he should be John Mayer. And no disrespect to John Mayer, of course.
No.
But that kind of a concept.
He's like the Keith Urban of rock music.
Yeah.
Keith Urban is an amazing guitar player.
Yes.
Writes incredible country or pop country songs. And Richie Kotzen should be the same thing in rock music.
Completely agree.
Yeah, no two ways about it. No two ways about it. But then again, if he got that big, he wouldn't play in the Dogs anymore, and that would crush me. I'd have to go get him and drag him on stage with the Winery Dogs.
It would be pretty funny to see you with him over your shoulder, because he's about 110 soaking wet.
Yeah, I'd carry him like a sack of potatoes. He's probably saying, no, he won't. But no, I mean, no insult to anybody.
No, of course not. Of course not.
This guy's a massive, massive big fan of everything that they do in the Winery Dogs, and of course everything that Richie's done solo, and of course Mike Portnoy, right from Dream Theater up through everything else that he's done, and of course Billy Sheehan. I mean, what he's done.
Talus,
everything.
Mr. Big.
Yeah, Mr. Big, huge fan of Mr. Big. Everything like that.
Because it's such amazing playing and such great songs wrapped around that amazing playing.
Whoa, usually you don't get both.
No, that's right.
But
exactly.
I got to tell you a quick story about Mr. Big.
Sure.
I was driving a friend of mine to Texas. She was moving to Texas. I couldn't tell you what year it was. I don't even know. When did Bump Ahead come out? 90.
It's either 92 or 95. I'm not sure if that was the middle one.
Somewhere 92, 95. And of course, I'd heard of Mr. Big and knew did a bunch about him, but that album had just come out. And we're passing through Tennessee in the middle of the night, and I catch this great rock station. And they're playing some great stuff, Priest and Van Halen, AC/DC, and actually played Rock the Nation from the first Montrose album.
Really?
Yeah, on a radio station
Nice.
now. I mean, then. So, it's a cool station.
Absolutely.
So the guy does the DJ, who was very good, man. He just a Joe Rock kind of DJ that just knows how to intro a song and things like that. So he talks about Mr. Big and saying, the album just got released and you got to check out this song. If this doesn't make you drive at 120 miles an hour, then you've got a problem. And at that time, obviously, they're playing CDs. Hits the CD, and it starts with the opening to Colorado Bulldog.
Oh my God!
And I'm listening to a piece of crap stereo in a U-Haul truck. Right?
Yeah,
and
I know.
my friend Karen's asleep over here, and I crank the thing up, and she wakes up. I said, you got to listen to this. And it's just the first riffs, and the opening of the song. And then you hear the, right? And they go into the song. I'm blown away. The song didn't even get going yet. I listened to the whole song. I'm like fired up. I'm like, I could drive for another 30 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Fired up. So that was the first time I heard Colorado Bulldog. You familiar with it?
Absolutely.
So anybody out there, you have to listen to the studio version, not that the live version are incredible, of Colorado Bulldog. And when you could play that perfectly like they do, you're accomplished. So to me, you talk to young kids and what influenced you, what made you happen? I give reference to a whole bunch of things, but I say the first Montrose album, with Rock Candy on it and Rock the Nation, just every song is great, the production's amazing, and if you could play some of the Mr. Big stuff, or this was actually before Winery Dogs also.
Of course.
So if you could play some of that Mr. Big stuff the way any of those guys played on that album or sang, you're a rock musician. There's no two ways about it. So, and it was great. So when I finally got a day later, when I finally got to Dallas, found, I think the Tower Records was still around.
Yeah, it was at
went
the time.
right in there, and there it was, bump ahead. Give me that. Give me that. Give me that. So the guy behind the counter recognized me, and he goes, don't you want? I said, what do I need to buy a Twisted Sister album for? I got it.
You would really think
I got stuff that you don't have. Okay, just in case you don't know, I want that. So it was very funny. That's how I had gotten it.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's great story about hearing Mr. Big for not the first time, but Colorado Bulldog, one of my favorate songs.
Where that affected you that much, that you had to have that record.
I used to do when I had Animal Tactics, the show back on 98.5 The Bone, back those days, which was a lot of fun. I give it to the JVC Broadcasting for letting it go on for so many years, and we had a great time. But once in a while I would pick out some of the songs, and I remember my group of songs to make you drive fast, was usually kind of like I would open with a Painkiller. Right, we know that almost with that drum intro. That's just amazing. By the way, it's fun to watch Mike Portnoy play that too.
I'm sure it is.
We would just, if we were doing a sound check or we were doing a rehearsal, we'd mention any drum piece, any song, and he played it perfectly.
Of course he did.
Perfectly.
Of course he did.
Yeah, Mike Portnoy. So, but sometimes I would pick Painkiller into Hot for Teacher, into here's one you're probably not going to recognize, Cactus doing Parchment Farm Live.
No, I definitely don't recognize that.
We'll talk about that in a minute. And then, of course, Colorado Bulldog. So those 4 songs in a row, I expected a lot of speeding tickets to be handed out by the county police and the state police when you're listening to those songs, because you can't help but drive fast.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
Of course.
Yesterday, I had my good driving experience yesterday. I got 2 quick stories to tell you. Going into do a couple things yesterday, and it's like, let me pick out a CD, because I still listen to CDs. I don't like downloads. I think they're way too canned sounding. You know what I mean? At least a CD, there's more of an open feel to it.
Well, most of the downloads are about the MP3 level, which are squashed.
Never feel
compressed.
Yep.
And your bandwidth is much smaller, so you could fit a lot of information in a smaller place.
Right, and it doesn't work for me.
No, it doesn't work for me.
So I pop in Aerosmith Rocks yesterday.
Oh, it's great.
And I am taken back, and I'm driving like, this is the best feeling in the world. Beautiful morning out, windows open, cranked beyond recognition, so much bass in it that my mirrors are shaking, my side mirrors.
Yeah,
it was
I've had that.
awesome. So I get the feeling, I'm just cooking, because it opens me back in the saddle. What are you doing? You're not driving at 40 miles an hour to back in the saddle.
Of course not.
So then this morning, I'm running a couple things, and I pick up my phone to make a phone call because I'm running late.
So now, not only you speeding, but you're on a handheld cell phone.
On a handheld cell phone.
You probably don't have your seatbelt on.
No, I totally have my seatbelt on.
Oh, you do?
Every time.
Okay, so that's 2 right there.
Right.
All right.
So
moving violations, by the way.
Whoop, whoop. Oh, yes. Trust me, believe me. I got pulled over. Get over to the side of the road. And, I already know he's coming, and I already know he's got me dead to rights. He couldn't miss me. So I give him my license, my registration. Guy goes, he comes back, and he goes, I gotta ask you something. Shoot. I'm a big fan of.
Well, you don't want to say shoot.
Well, yeah, you know what you got me, son of a. So I go ahead. Say, whatever you need. Where have you been? Where have I been? In my head, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Because I watch your show.
Oh, the cop?
Yeah.
Saying this to you?
Yeah.
Was it a county police officer?
No, he was NYPD.
Oh, you were in the city?
I was in Queens.
They recognized you.
Recognized me.
That's great.
And I was like, oh my, this is awesome. So we're talking stuff. He goes, you also look like Vito Bratta from White Lion. So he was an old school metalhead. Yeah, I told him where I was going to be tonight with you on here. I gave him all the information. I was like, if you have a minute.
When did this happen?
7 o'clock this morning.
What are you doing up so early? I guess you're doing what you got to do.
Yeah, doing what I got to do. And, he goes, listen, I got to give you the ticket, because once the lights go on, the cameras go on. I got to give you a ticket. He goes, when I write this ticket out, he goes, it gives you the points immediately. He gives me the whole rundown. He goes, if you want to avoid paying this ticket, and the points will be off by the time you go to court, he goes, trust me, do this, do this, do this. He goes, your court appearance will be...
You sure you want to say that on the air?
Well, that's why I'm not being specific about what he told me.
I don't want anybody in trouble.
No, and that's why I'm not giving names. Officer John Smith, find him, good luck.
John Smith.
So, he goes, keep doing that. He goes, in 2 years, I'm never going to be in another courtroom again because I'm putting my papers in. He goes, you'll never see me in a courtroom. I almost hugged him out of the window.
I could tell you a funny story about that stuff. We're on Twisted Sisters touring with Iron Maiden. A great tour. I guess you didn't see it. Phenomenal tour. We're opening up. We were just exploding at the time. And we played, and I don't remember exactly the chronological order, but we played, I want to say it was Kansas City, or someplace in Kansas, and D, JJ, and myself stayed behind. The tour buses left. We had a morning talk show to do.
Right.
So we rented a car, and we were going to catch up to everybody later in the day.
Right.
You ever driven across Kansas?
No.
It's flat, and there's corn and wheat and grain as far as you can see.
Oh my God, I can't even
remember back then the speed limit was 55 miles an hour everywhere. I'm cranking along 85, 90. The interstate is empty. There's no one anywhere. And as I look, D is sitting in the back seat, kind of just resting and sleeping.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey man, look what that airplane's doing." So I look down low, I look out the passenger window, and that airplane was pretty close to the ground. Either he was dusting the crops, or it was a law enforcement airplane just pacing us, right? Because he was just going as slow as we were. I guess that's slow for an airplane.
I would imagine.
Certainly not an expert at that. And then I saw way down the road, you could see there was cars parked there on the center divider. Big, massive center divider like the LIE or Sunrise Highway out east.
Sure.
And as we're coming up on it, I didn't hit the brakes. I just let the car slow down. And you can see a bunch of state police cars there and a bunch of civilian cars pulled over in a line. State trooper, man. This guy's got to be 6'5", cornbread boy, like a linebacker, NFL linebacker. Steps out of the roadway. He's got the hat on and everything, and he pulls me over onto the center divider like this. Pull over. So we're like the 7th or 8th car in a line of cars, right? And he says, he yells it out, goes, "I'll be with you in a minute." Yeah, not a problem. What am I going to do? I'm caught. I'm going fast enough to get arrested.
Right.
All right. I mean, it's like 40 miles an hour over the speed limit, especially in Kansas, right?
Yeah.
Figure they're going to have a lot of fun with us. So, and you got to remember, the year was 1983, maybe?
Something like that. It was 83 or 84 when you were touring with Maiden.
83, I think it was. Again, it's been so long that I don't remember.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's around the 83. So, he comes down and he says license and registration, and he looks in the car. I'm like, oh, this guy's going to just love us. Kansas in 1983 in the middle of nowhere. And a state trooper. So anyway, he looks in the car and I go, "Trooper, it's a rental vehicle." He goes, "Okay, where's the rental agreement?" It's in the glove box. He goes, "Passenger, reach in the glove box and nice and slow and take out that rental agreement." He handed it to me, and he goes, "Your license?" Hand him my license. He goes, "Okay, you boys just relax here. It'll be a few minutes." And he walks away, and he does the car in front of us, and 2 or 3 of the cars, and there was other troopers taking care of the cars up front. And he walks back to his car, and he sits in his car, and he's writing, because obviously he's writing tickets for 3 vehicles.
Sure, of course.
And oh man, listen, whatever it is, I'll pay the fine. And the band was like, "No, you're driving for us. We got a show to get to, right?" So he comes back, he's walking to the cars, and he comes back with his clipboard, and you can see a pile of Yellowbirds, as they call the stickers. Not just for me, the tickets.
Right.
Yellowbirds, they ran in my hand back then, obviously. So he goes to the first car, and he hands back the license, and you can see him talking, and he's got the look. He's got the big Stetson on, and he's got the mirrored sunglasses.
Absolute stereotype.
And you could cut your finger in the crease in his uniform. That's how he looked. I mean, he looked like he was modeling that uniform. He was a big guy. It's cornbread boy. You could tell that. So anyway, the 2 cars in front of us, then the car in front of us, and one by one they leave. And he comes up to us, and he hands me back the rental agreement, and I see a ticket, what appears to be a ticket. So he hands me this yellow piece of paper, which was ripped off of a legal pad, and it wasn't a ticket. It said, "Saw you guys last night with Maiden. Amazing." So I look at him, and he gets down, and he takes his sunglasses off, and his hat, and then he looks in and smiles. And I'm like, oh, man. Can we talk? He goes, "Yeah, sure." He goes, "You guys were incredible last night. Just amazing." I said, "I apologize for speeding." He goes, "I don't worry about it. Everybody here saw you last night, even my sergeant." I said, listen, we're playing in Wichita or whatever it is, which was, I don't know, an hour and a half away, and or I might have been in someplace in Missouri. I just don't remember. It was probably only about a 90-minute or 2-hour ride that we're playing tonight. I said, write down everybody's name. Come to the show. He goes, you serious? So we'll get you in. We'll get you backstage. And you'll meet Iron Maiden, you'll meet everybody, and we'll do everything. And he goes, you sure? I mean, all of us are going to want to go. Just give me the names. Just give me your name plus how many want to go. I will make sure you get in. Okay, I will personally make sure you guys get in.
Well, you're a huge stake in this right now,
So, yeah, we did. I mean, we left the car stop, and it was great. And he said, by the way, there's no troopers between here and there. We're all here. So have fun. So we get up to 90 again and crank along. And, he gave us some, I guess this certain card they had there in the Midwest that you would carry.
Right.
He gave us one for me to drive with, and so we don't get harassed. But we had to make the show. We had to get going. So we did, and of course they showed up. They had a great time. We gave them pile of T-shirts and CDs and posters, and they hung out with Iron Maiden. They hung backstage with us, and I mean, it was a great night. I mean, I don't know. I never spoke to them again or anything like that. But you're talking about that was 1983. That was 112 years ago.
Absolutely.
So that's one of my stories, of not getting a ticket because of who we were. He looked in the car. He looked at us, and this guy knew who we were.
Yeah.
Said we were all there last night. All the troopers, they were all there last night. And as a matter of fact, there was a couple of sheriff's deputies there too, who were writing tickets. He goes, we were all there last night. I said, just tell me now, how many you want to get in? We'll get you in.
It's so perfect,
Oh yeah. So I went over to my tour manager at the time, Joe Gerber, and I said, listen, you personally got to take care of it. He goes, not a problem. No, I will walk these guys in, get them backstage passes, get them T-shirts, everything that they want. And it was really a great night. They loved it, man. They were rocking and rolling on stage.
It's hilarious. So some guys use their fame to go into the fanciest restaurants in town, get a huge discount on like a Bugatti. Nope. Guys like you and me, we get out of tickets.
Well, that doesn't always happen.
Not always happen. But listen, it's a nice perk when it does work out for you.
Yeah, it's a nice perk. I mean, the idea is when in this day and age, there's so much disrespect for law enforcement.
Oh, it drives me crazy.
People don't realize it. The first thing you got to do is you don't have to kiss anybody's ass or bend over backwards or do anything, but you got to be polite.
Yeah.
I wasn't speeding. Yeah, right. Okay, sure. I wasn't on the phone. Okay. These guys do this every day. These not only guys, men and women do this every day. They know the tricks. They know it all. So, okay, you got me. I'm sorry. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But by going, I had my seatbelt on, it just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't work.
It just doesn't work.
It's ironic that you said it that way because as soon as he came over to the car, I had the window rolled down. I was like, look, man, you got me dead to rights.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, bro. And that's, I handed him my stuff, because, like I said, dead to rights. I know how hard these guys work. And, like you said, especially in this day and age, it's very cynical with cops. Cops are some people's favorite profession these days.
No, of course
and that's
not.
why you got to be a gentleman.
And people, listen, every job, every walk of life has its good people and bad people. There's no two ways about it. Listen, we all know musicians who are assholes.
Yeah, we all know everybody.
Real asses. So no profession is perfect.
No, of course
not.
No
profession has everybody that's completely on the up and up. Unfortunately, the few bad apples in law enforcement gives everybody a bad name.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's a real problem. But
what we should do is just profess our love for the fine police that keep their eyes over us, and we should appreciate them from our point of view.
Listen, you don't like the police, then when you have a problem, don't call them.
Absolutely.
Because even people who hate police still dial 911 and the police show up. You can rant and rave about this for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here and say that everything that goes on is perfect.
No.
It isn't.
No.
Everybody's human, and the human element is in things, and things always don't work out right, and we're not happy about when they don't work out right. But I have to say that my interaction has been nothing but great, except for one time in my life when I was barely moving and I got a speeding ticket, because the guy didn't like me. I was on a motorcycle, and he just says, "You're getting a ticket." and it had to be a speeding ticket. Could you give me like a bold tire ticket or a correctable, as they call it,
like a lens,
my headlights out or something. But no. But hey, listen, it goes that way, and I don't want to go on anything bad or
no, not at all. That's exactly what I'm saying.
To say, we all have interactions with law enforcement, and most of the time it can be good. It's just how you look at it. So, but let's move on. With
let's definitely move on. Sure.
Listen, thanks to all the state troopers out here, whether it's New York, New Jersey, anywhere in the country. Thanks for the RMP, the Canadian Mounted Police. Thanks. Listen, in Nassau and Suffolk and New York City, we got great police departments.
Yes, we do.
And you have no idea how much they go through every day, and we don't hear about it. We only hear about a lot of the bad stuff. But we do have great law enforcement around here, in our villages and towns, the PDs, and we can't forget about our fire departments and rescue squads.
Absolutely.
Listen, you call 911, we got great services around here. We really do, better than most places in the world. So let's support them a little bit.
Always.
But in any case, let's move on. Let's talk about a few things here. You actually are, in all of this mayhem, a musician.
Yes,
You
I am
are a bass player by trade.
I'm a bass player by trade. I am.
You're a nutcase by night.
Nutcase by night. I am a very, very limited three-chord guitar player, and it works for what I do, and I can carry a tune, and I sing in a band too. So, but bass is my first love.
It's so funny that I have so many friends, but one of my good friends is Russ. We know Russ. Right?
We know Russ. We love Russ.
Pizzuto, yes, without a doubt. He's a very good friend of mine. He's currently playing with Dee Snider.
Yes, he is.
And I believe they're in, I don't even know where they are now. Europe someplace? Or they were in Malta.
They were in Malta. I think they went to the Czech Republic.
Yeah, the Czech Republic.
They're home for 5 minutes, and I think they're hitting Mexico next.
Mexico, that was it. Yes, of course. Talk to Dee about... I don't know, probably, we talk occasionally, but probably about 2 weeks ago, and all I did was bad rap Russell.
As you should.
I love doing that to him, but he's a great friend and he's a great bass player. But it's so funny that, most of my friends are bass players. We're just a miserable breed, man.
We're a miserable breed. We're odd birds.
Yeah, odd, that's for sure. Any case, so you're in You're in a Motley Crue type band.
I play in a Motley Crue tribute
called
Theater of Pain.
Theater of Pain.
And a matter of fact, Cheap Pop will be at the Warehouse in Amityville on June 15th with an incredible Iron Maiden tribute with a friend of ours, Sal Italiano.
Oh, really?
Called Live After Death. And there's a Tesla tribute that opens the night up called Signs. And they're a great band. They played with Theater of Pain a couple of times. So it's going to be a very, very good night.
What day of the week is that?
It's a Saturday night.
It's 15th, right?
Yes, sir.
I have a gig, unfortunately.
So we'll cross paths. I know you're busy. I'm never that guy.
Yeah, weekends are tough for me. Usually I have gigs or appearances or something. But I will promise you, I will be out there heckling you, believe me.
I'm waiting for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be cutting the strings on your bass.
I'm almost a little insulted that you haven't been there yet.
Yeah,
I want the heckling more than anything else. That's what I meant.
You want the heckling?
From you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Please,
it won't be easy.
No, if it is, I'm going to be more insulted.
So what else? You're playing in Theater of Pain.
Yes.
How long now?
It is coming up on almost 20 years. I started with that band. I remember,
and I can't believe I haven't seen you in all this time.
I started with them right before 9/11.
Right.
And, it's been such a crazy ride. We've had so much fun.
Who else is in the band that I would know?
My vocalist is George Bergman. He was kicking around the local Long Island scene for years.
Don't know him.
He was in a band called Kickback doing original music in the early to mid 90s. And he's done, now he's doing a hard rock tribute called Rock Central with Artie Blaurock, if you know Artie.
I know who he is. I don't know him.
And he used to do an Aerosmith tribute, and for the life of me, I can't remember what the name of it was. My drummer is a kid by the name of Billy Shores, whose birthday happens to be today, so happy birthday, Billy, if you're watching. And I'll be mad if you are. It's your birthday, celebrate. And he kicked around the local scene too. He used to sing lead vocals and play piano for a Guns N' Roses tribute called Appetite for Destruction.
I remember that.
Yes,
yeah,
and
sure.
he left doing that, and because he was doing both. He left doing that, and he sticks with us full time. And my guitar player is a gentleman by the name of Ed Ruiz, and he is you know, I don't know a lot about Ed, to be honest with you. Like, Ed's a great guy. He's a great hang. But, he's like a mystery to me. But
Probably to everyone else, too.
He's a great guitar player.
That's great.
And he's a good time. He laughs at my stupid jokes, so he fit right in. Because, like, when it comes to that band, and we audition musicians to fill in spots, it happens occasionally, you know how it is.
Of course.
And I am always a deciding factor. One guy came into my rehearsal room at the time, this was a couple of years ago, to try out. He comes in with this guitar that's 29 frets. And instantly I went, in my head I'm going, nope, not going to work for this. This is not your gig. He plugged his guitar in and sounded amazing, could play his ass off, but no bottom to his tone. I was like, you got to go. I just got here. Nope, you gotta go. I was like, you're not gonna work. And, I wasn't trying to be mean about it or anything like that, but I know. You know what I mean? I know what I'm looking for when it comes to musicians, especially for a project like that.
Right, of course.
You know what you need, And, off he went, and, we've had a bunch of guys ever since, but, Ed is just that he's an enigma. He's a great guy, great guitar player, little dude. He comes up to about my chest height to here, but he's just rad. He's fun. He's a good time. And I love doing it because what I love most, I never considered myself a musician. I always considered myself more of an entertainer, and I learned that from the guys that I grew up on, Gene Simmons, yourself, Nikki Sixx, not necessarily Tom Hamilton. He was a little more musical. Aerosmith was a little more fit into that groove pocket kind of a thing. And that's not a slig on anybody's ability. But if somebody paid $10 for a Twisted Sister show, they got a $100 show for that $10 ticket every night. And I took that to heart. That's what I always wanted to do. Right. Even when I started writing my own songs when I was a kid, and I did original music, up until I was, I only stopped doing original music a few years ago. And I'm still actually mixing and mastering a record that we cut that we just didn't finish because it was like all the air was taken out of it. And now, you go back to that old mistress, you're like, yeah, we could clean this up. We could fix this.
Yeah, we could fix this.
And I just want to put the record out for the sake of saying I put the record out. Right. But all the way that I play those songs is stuff that I learned from guys like you who, know when to put that little bit of flair in, but also know that you're going to play this live in front of a crowd. And if you're just standing there, no one cares. If you're Mark the Animal Mendoza, people notice, people scream, people make noise, people have fun. And the big part of it is people come back and you made a memory for those people. And that's why I always consider myself more of an entertainer than a musician.
Okay, all right.
And that's what I love to do. Even when I pick up a microphone and I play in a Poison tribute called Fallen Angel. And I don't look like it right at the moment, but I do the lead vocal part. And I get to sing and play guitar. I get to get a room full of people or, a bar or a big club singing songs back to me that we all grew up on. And, I'm the luckiest guy in the world because I get to look out in that crowd and sometimes you see a song that brings a tear to somebody's face or a big smile, and man, there's no amount of money, there's no anything that can beat that. And I love that I have the ability to do that and to bring that out in people. Sure. Whether, I'm talking stuff on my radio show or I get to do it on a stage. I've had my fair share of health issues over the years and everything, and it always brought me back to wanting to be on that stage, and just to make people happy. And it's selfish in a way because it makes me happy to make them happy, and man, that's what I love, and that's what I learned from watching you guys when I was a kid.
I've, of course, your years of experience. No alcohol or drugs ever for me, not even a cigarette.
Yes.
It still doesn't make me remember everything.
No, of course not.
A lot's happened, but I do a lot of motivational speaking for young musicians and rock bands, and talk about things. And I don't tell them what to do in life. Mm-hmm. I just tell them, and the basic gist that you're trying to get through them is let them know that no matter what you're doing, whether you're a sports figure, whether you're Bernie Williams in the Yankees, or I don't care if you're anybody in hockey or basketball or soccer is tremendous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't care if you're a stand-up comedian or an actor or a stage actor on Broadway or any of these things, anything, anybody who gets in front of people and does something, even a motivational speaker. Mm-hmm. We have one thing in common. We're entertainers.
Yes.
You're entertaining. And if you can't get up there and do it at 110%, then don't do it at all.
Yep.
If something that happened to you that day gets in the way of you doing your job, then you should cancel. But you really shouldn't. You should brush it all off, get on that stage or get on that in front of that camera and do what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
To 110%. Never let the audience know that you had a bad day or there's something wrong. And not everybody can do that.
No,
but
not everybody can.
speaking on those terms, going way, way beyond that, and I'm speaking for myself.
Sure.
Not any other member in any band that I've been in, including Twisted, but I'm sure that most of them will say the same thing. What I do with Twisted is in my blood.
Right.
Okay, I would do it right now if the band was not retired.
Right.
I would do that, and I would do a lot of other things, because playing bass and playing whatever type of music that I play, and I'm still in 4 other bands.
Yes,
as
you
you
are.
know, Joe Rock and the All Stars. It's all I love doing it. I can get up in front of, what was that?
Animal Tactics.
Oh, Animal Tactics is a little bit different. It's coming up soon. Not the, I have a band called Animal Tactics.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, I'm sure most people have seen the Christmas video. But what I do, especially in music, is in my blood. It's in my DNA, and in whatever form I'm in, whether it's the country band I play in or the husband and wife team, it's acoustic. It all rocks. It all makes sense, and I do it. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
Okay. Without a doubt, I wouldn't do it because I'm not a robot. I'm not a jukebox.
Right.
I have to enjoy what I do, or I won't do it.
I agree.
So to get that feeling, as you said, have that feeling about what you do, and it's inbred in you. It's part of your DNA, and you have to let the audiences see that you're enjoying it too, or you're putting on a great show, or you're doing what you do. It transcends everything. It really proves a point that you love what you do.
Right.
And whether it's in front of 150,000 people or 50 people at a local club that I play in, or a special event that I'm at, or whatever I do, you got to let them know that you enjoy what you do,
Yeah.
and that you're having a great day no matter what's happened to you. And that's an important part.
It's the most important part, because especially when I front a band or I do my radio show, I make that connection with the audience, and I always tell them I'm always thankful. I try to always have a smile
Right.
on my face. If I see somebody singing along or they have this huge smile on my face, I'll tap my heart and I'll point to them, because that's how much it means to me, and it always has. Like, let me tell you a story, because I don't know if you know this or not, and you might. It was in June of 2013. I was playing with my Poison band at 89 North in Patrick. It's an amazing club, and a lot of nationals are passing through there now. And
Great club.
It's a great room.
Yeah, it is.
And I had felt this incredible amount of pain in my chest. Here I am thinking I had taken cold medicine on top of the other medications I was on, thinking I was having a bad reaction to it. I'll get over it. I'll not run around as much, but I'll make sure that I sing on key and, keep a smile on. Get to the point where I couldn't stand up. I didn't know what was happening. So I apologized to the crowd, and I said, look, I'm going to continue this show. It's not me at 100%. I'm going to sit on a drum stool. I'm going to sing these songs for you. I'm going to play my guitar for you. If this isn't to your liking, be my guest, write your name down, give me the paper at the end of the night. I'll personally refund your money. And come to find out, I had a heart attack while I was on stage. I had no idea. And
Really? Did you go to the hospital after the show?
No, because once I was relaxed, I felt fine. Like, I didn't feel fine, like I wasn't running around feeling fine, but I felt 1,000 times better than I did, and I finished the set. We cut one song from the set, and it wasn't by choice, because the way I run my bands is it's a majority rules. All right, so the next day, I left my cell phone at the bar. I go out to the bar, I take my son with me, go to the bar, get my phone, took him to see Man of Steel. It had just come out, the Superman movie.
Of course.
Then that night, my friend's band is playing at Napa Tandy's in Rocky Point. So I go to that, and I go up and jam a song with them. Feel like I'm going to friggin' pass out. The next day, I don't do anything, I just watch the Yankee game and I chill. But I feel fine because I'm not doing anything. The next day I wake up and I had to go to work and everything, and I'm a lovely shade of gray. So you know what? I'm going to the doctor because I still feel like I'm going to drop. Going to the doctor, he runs an EKG on me. He goes, I think you had a heart attack. He goes, I suggest you call your wife and get yourself to the hospital. Call my wife. She comes home, takes me to the hospital. Sure enough, I had a heart attack. They put 2 stents in me that day. And I said, when did this happen? Probably 3 or 4 days ago. Happened to me the night that I was on stage. Had no idea. No clue. But the show went on.
You felt it.
But I didn't feel any stereotypical symptoms. That's why I didn't think about it that way.
Right, okay.
You know, I didn't have the numbness going down the arm or anything like that, and the clutch your chest collapse kind of a thing. Sorry about smacking the microphone. I apologize. It's not the first time I've done it tonight.
He knows.
I'm sure he does. I'm waiting for the daggers to be stared through.
The bottle's going to get thrown at you in a
I'm
minute.
gonna come for Mark this time.
So like I said, I didn't know, and all I wanted to do was entertain those people. My wife was ready to kill me because I was getting flooded with messages on Facebook, how rock and roll it was and all this. She's like, it wasn't rock and roll. She could have died. I was like, I didn't know. And the show went on. And I was,
that's what happened with AJ.
yeah, I know. And that's why it's such an ironic thing.
Oh.
And that's why I wanted to tell you that story, in case I hadn't told you that.
No,
but
you didn't tell me about that.
That is a legendary night. I mean, for me, obviously, and I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it.
Well, that's an amazing story.
I'm the luckiest man in the world.
No two ways about it. You
Yeah.
lived through it.
Yeah, I got to live through it. Tell the tale.
It's it's horrible that he died in his sleep.
Yeah.
And his heart gave out, or it was actually blockages that did it to him.
He had no idea. I had no idea.
He did have an idea. He had chest pains.
No, but I mean,
He talked to us about it.
Really?
He was out with
Adrenaline Mob.
Adrenaline Mob, that's right. Mike Orlando.
Yes.
And I had spoken to him 2 days before that, and he had said, I'm not feeling good, but when I get done in a few days, I'm going to go to the doctor. I said, what about doing it now? I don't know. Just go to the hospital, man. Just show up. You do have a day off coming up. Just go. I'll get through it. Take aspirin, come home. I don't know if I would mess with that, man. And he didn't come home, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, no, he did not.
Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, so that's an amazing story. That really is an amazing story.
It is an amazing, and I always, when I tell people about it, I'm just like, look, you're going to try to take care of yourself. I had no pains otherwise. It happened immediately. It went from 0 to 100 in no time flat.
Yeah, horrible. It's just horrible. So many people. Listen, a very good friend of mine, Scott Larson, he lost his dad about a week and a half ago.
My condolences to him and his family.
Yeah, his father was in the fire department for 45 years, and he was a great guy. And I never met him. But Scott's a good friend of mine, and I went to his father's wake, and it was incredible the display that the fire department put on for him. The big tower ladders with the big American flag, and,
awesome.
and everybody there. It's great to see such a respect for a guy that's so well loved in his community. And but his dad also just all of a sudden just was dead from a massive heart attack. So you are a lucky man.
Very lucky man. The only thing that I will say about that night is that it's the best I've ever sang, and it's the best guitar I ever played, because I didn't get up off that drum stool for the whole show.
Well, it's nice that you're here to talk about it.
Yeah, and it's why I can laugh about it.
So anybody you have any feelings like this, don't take it for granted. We may not have had this gentleman here. He may have perished that night, but AJ did. So don't take it lightly.
Yeah,
go to the
never take it
doctor,
lightly.
get things checked out. Be safe, not sorry, because you can't go back once it happens.
You have some amazing words of wisdom. I love it.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
You can't go back. Doris Day. You know who Doris Day was?
Yes.
She passed away at 97
Yep.
a few days ago. I less than a week ago, and I read one of her quotes. I remember growing up as a kid. Doris Day. A lot of people don't know her because generations come and go. Excuse me, but she said something like, "What's that?"
You're not excused.
I'm not excused.
You're not excused.
He has no idea who Doris Day
No, he
is.
has no idea.
You can put a bullet to its temple,
Yeah,
and that
exactly.
bullet's going one side to the other. He'll have no clue.
Exactly. No two ways about it. But she said, it was interesting, and I'm not quoting it perfectly, but she said, before she had passed away, live every day as best as you can, because you can't do it over.
Right. You're right.
So at 97, she said, every day that's what I did every day. So that's an amazing way of looking at life, and it was kind of like a rude awakening for people. And you never know when your number's up.
Right.
It's your turn. It could have been your turn. You got through it.
Like you said, I got lucky.
Which is great. Which is absolutely great. So let's get back to the music.
Sure, please.
So
ask me about anything.
The Motley Crue band, Theater of
Yes.
Pain. You got the Poison band.
Yes.
What else?
My original band that I'm quite proud of is a band called Three Ring Circus. Me and my best friend started this band in 2009.
You still have it?
Yeah, I still have it. That's the band that I'm finishing up the record.
Oh, okay.
So what our plans are now is to finish up this record. There's a good, I think, 10 or 11 songs on there. We're going to finish it up, put it out, do a couple of gigs, see how it goes. It's Long Island. There's a market for it. And, the thing that I love most about it is that I got to write songs with my best friend. And we were creatively a complete firebomb. He's left, I'm right. You know what I mean? Like, as far as the songwriting goes, everything was push and pull. We'd fight for hours over one word in lyrics. It was silly things. But again, this is a gentleman that I've grown up with since I've been 12 years old. We got our first guitars together, and it ran the gamut from Point A to, our first original band when we were kids, opening for Nationals when the Nationals were starting to play the big clubs around here on the island, like the Rotsy.
Yes, of course.
We experienced all these things together.
Of course.
And then it fell out of place. He went one way, I went the other, and I kept playing and doing my thing and stuff, and he didn't. And one day we got together to jam. We started writing little dopey songs with drum machines, and it grew and expanded to this big thing. And I mean, I love it. We wrote songs about stuff we experienced in life: drugs, alcohol, bad relationships, a lot of things that everyone goes through. And what I love most about the music is that no one would ever expect me to write this type of music. Because, growing up, I was into all the glam stuff, still am, whether it be 70s, 80s, whatever it is, and these songs definitely have, like they're down tuned, they're heavy, there's breakdowns and stuff in it. It's not, it's melodic, but it's heavy. It's got, it's just, I can't even describe it. But
I'd love to hear it.
You will hear it. As soon as it's ready, I want you to be one of the first people who hears it.
Once we start playing music on this network, we'll play it.
I'd be honored for you to put it on there, and
I'll either like it and we'll support it, or we'll make fun of it.
Listen, either way, as long as it gets airplay, I don't care.
What's that, Stephen?
Win-win for me.
If it gets airplay, you can do whatever you want. It was just, and that was the most fun about it, is that we get to do it together.
Of course.
All these years later, all these life changes later, and remembering the nights that we were writing our first songs, sitting on his porch step in College Point in Queens, where we were growing up at the time, writing our dopey, 3-chord Next Stairway to Heavens,
right.
And it just came from such an emotional spot. It means everything to me. That's why I want the world to hear it. I want the world to hear it right. So I'm so genuinely excited about putting it out, and people getting a chance to really check it out.
So what do you do? Are you actually still? You never finished the recording of it?
The recording is basically done. There's one guitar solo that needs to be done, some backup harmonies, and I have one bass overdub because for some reason in one of the songs I didn't play a part that plays a very big part in the song. And Mark, when I recorded it to now, again, gun to my head, I couldn't tell you why I didn't cut the part. I have no idea. And I love the bass tone on the recording is awesome. To get instrument nerdy here, Mark can respect this. I have my Spectre Euro 4 LX. It's PJ split with the EMG pickups, the wings on the neck through body and everything. The tone that comes out of this thing is unreal. And the tone that I got on this recording is crazy. So I wasn't even going to use it for the recording. I have a Fender Jazz that I was going to pop to get that bottom end. Man, I plugged in this Spectre, and it was it. It was the bass for recording. I was always nervous about it. I never recorded with it. Yeah.
Okay.
I've always played with a pick. And I'm not that great with my fingers. I try. But if I drop a pick, I can get through a song. So I'm always good like that. And, I'll pull it back a little bit. And I'll play a bit behind the beat, but not out of time. Just so you make sure that I'm still in the pocket when I can go grab a pick again. And, man, it's just, like I said, I can't wait for you to hear it. Because the bass tone on one of those songs is so thundering that instantly when I heard it, before it even completely mixed down, you were the first person I thought of. I was like, Mark would appreciate this. Because the thing, it's just this behemoth tone that, and it doesn't overpower everything, but it punches right through that wall of guitars and everything, and you feel it long before you hear it, and that's why I was like, this is why Mark will do it, because he told me he'll get
I can't wait to hear that. Then.
Yeah, man, I'm jonesing for you to hear it. I can't wait. Yeah, I haven't even played it for Russ yet. Like Russ never heard it either. So I want you to be first.
When are you going to be done with it? You think?
I'm hoping sooner than later.
ETA?
I'd like to say by midsummer. I'd like to have it at least done to the point where I go, here, Mark, here's a bootleg copy of it here. Check it out,
So now,
without the packaging and everything.
Are you a gearhead, or you really pay attention to the equipment you use, or you just use whatever? And
I am a gearhead to a point because financially I'm not in the space to be the gearhead that I want to be. I would love to have my 6 foot tall Ampeg tube head, and
what, an SVT?
Yeah, I mean, come on.
The original style SVTs?
Absolutely.
They're like 70 pounds each.
I know, and that's why if I ever get it, it stays in my house unless I ever get to be a Mendoza style guy and I get a Rizzuto to carry my crap for me,
That's really torturing a Roku moving a few of those.
Hey man, you know what? You got to earn your dues.
Wow, yeah. But you can have someone like Dwayne around who drops everything.
I can't imagine Dwayne picking up a 70-pound amp without going.
He only weighs 70 pounds.
That's what I'm saying. Like it would be like Bugs Bunny style stuff, And,
he's Bugs Bunny, all right.
And I'm a Spectre guy through and through. Okay. Spectre makes the best
bass.
Best basses for you on the market. And Russ keeps telling me to harass you and ask you to borrow your black one. From the old
my
days.
Spectre?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. I still have a red one and a black one when I was endorsed.
Yes, I remember.
You're talking about the early 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got the old school ones when they were still making them through Kramer.
Yes,
and
absolutely. That's how I got the endorsement.
Yeah, the NS2s. They're beautiful instruments. I've seen pictures of you with them.
Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
And I have a relationship with those guys because the guys who build the basses, you can send them a message. You get into conversations with them because I bought my Spectre, that Spectre I was just talking about. I bought it used at Guitar Center with no paperwork.
Right.
I mean, Mark, I didn't even play it. I saw it. I walked up to the counter. I put money down on it. He goes, it's going to be 30 days. I said, that's fine. I said, I'm in love with that right there. Did you play it? I went, no. But I'm going to, but I don't have to. I'm making sure that I know I'm getting this bass.
Yeah, but how did you know you like the way way it feels?
Because it's going to sound silly.
You played one yet?
I played one, yeah, way before that.
Right.
But I never had the cash to walk home with it.
Yeah, but not every bass that's made with the same name on it feels the same way.
Right. But Mark, it was an instinct. It was an animal instinct.
It worked out, then that's great.
It did. And what it was is that I have played them in the past, and I went and I picked it up. And my whole thing for you bass players out there, and for you guitar players too, when you go pick up a guitar at any guitar store, do yourself a solid, plug it into the biggest piece of garbage amp in the store. If it still sounds good and it still feels like butter, that's your instrument. That's it. And that's what I do all the time. So I found the lowest line, like $100 acoustic brand bass amp. Not the ones from back in the day, but the remakes that they put out.
Because an acoustic 360 is a legendary amp.
Legendary amp.
At one time I owned 3 of them.
Did you really?
Oh, I'm so sorry I got rid of them.
It's hard, man. It's hard to keep that gear.
Sorry, man.
Yeah, hindsight is 2020.
That they would be worth so much money these days, the original ones.
Yeah. And the new ones that they put out, I'm not feeling them at all.
Really?
So it's just not my thing. I don't think you'd be feeling it. Just my opinion. But again, everybody's different. It's all subjective, whether it's gear or whatever it can be. So I plug into. I always do that. I go into a guitar store, I plug into the crappiest little $100 whatever I can find, and even better if it's used. I don't even want it new because you already know if you have a $100 amp that's used, it's already beat the crap. And if you can pull tones out of it, and you like the way the bass feels and sounds in your hands at that point, that's your instrument.
Right.
That's it. And that's what I do with the Spectre. And even though I already knew, I just knew even more, and that was it for me. I have a Fender, my Fender Jazz, that was the first year made in Mexico, and it was a 1996 model. And all he did was ship all the American parts down there. They put it together.
Yeah, well, that's
send
true
it back
with
home.
a lot of companies.
Yeah, but this is exactly what he did at the time, because it was the first year that Fender did it, that they were putting out the MIM models.
Right.
And because I paid an extraordinary amount of money for it, and I loved it. I still do. It's an amazing bass. I had all the wiring yanked out. I put in brand new heavy-duty wiring, so I would never have to really worry or think about it. And in 20 years, that bass has never given me an issue. Change the strings. I could drop it off the George Washington Bridge and make sure it hit rocks on either side of the span, and it'll come back in tune. Always has, always will.
I don't know if I believe that one.
Well, I'm telling you, I've hit it off numerous things, tons of live shows.
Let me play it. I bet you it won't stay in tune.
You know what? I would have to accept that challenge. And I've seen what you do to basses. You scare me.
Yeah.
The basses cry. Like I hear when
That's why I treat my women.
It's an amazing. Like I said, I feel that Fender a lot. It's a great bass, but it's not. It's just
A lot of people. I think musicians also make the mistake. Bass players, guitar players, drummers, even keyboard players, because there's an action on a keyboard. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because if you're not a musician, and even if you are, but I've been in the business so long, and I'm not sitting here saying I'm the best there is in this. I don't go for that at all. You just have a lot of experience. You get seasoned. You have a lot of experience, and picking up an instrument is like trying on shoes. Mm-hmm. We could have the same size feet, but the shoe won't feel the same.
Right.
And you could go out and spend $500 on a pair of shoes, and a half hour later your dogs are screaming.
Yep.
You got to take them off. Mm-hmm. But you can go in to Walmart and buy a $40 pair of shoes, and they feel like gloves on your feet.
Right, most comfortable things you ever had in your life.
So it's of course, any instrument you get, it needs to be quality. It needs to be something good about it, put together well, good electronics. But most of the battle is how it feels in your hands.
Yeah.
So if it feels amazing, you're going to play it amazing. Mm-hmm. And that's more important than what it looks like.
Yep.
and how much it costs.
Right.
Of course, who wants to go out and spend $10,000 on some custom-made 6-string bass?
Right.
I'm not putting it down, but I like common instruments.
Yeah.
That's very accessible to me. Mm-hmm. And it's the bass has to feel good in your hands, mm-hmm. whether you're playing with a pick or whether you're playing with your fingers,
right.
or you're playing with your thumb. Whatever it is, the neck's got to feel good. You got to be able to handle it up and down really, really well. Mm. Too many people don't think about that. I want that bass. I've seen it in ads. It's cool.
Right.
And that's why you see a lot of basses that are used. Mm-hmm. People get it in their hands and like, I can't play this for long. It just doesn't feel good.
Right.
And when you realize that, the next time you go out, you should always play something and feel it and make sure after 15 minutes it feels good in your hands.
And that was me at 14. If a guitar looked cool, I wanted it. It was a BC Rich, and it pointed in 17 different directions.
Oh yeah, BC Rich, and that's a quality instrument.
It is.
BC Rich, they make amazing stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
But in this day and age, I can't play them anymore. You know what I mean? It's not the right bass for me. And the reason why I was so attracted to the Spectrum in the first place, and you're gonna laugh at me because it ties into cars. You know how the body on the late 70s to like 82, 83 Corvettes are?
Oh, sure.
With those curves, and the sexy curves on the car and everything. The motors were garbage. We all know this. I want one of those cars on the West Way. It's gonna be one of my dream cars that I rebuild from the ground up someday. But the curves on that car reminded me of the curves on that bass. And there was a connotation there between the two of them.
I see that, sure.
And
sure.
That's why it feels so good in my hands and everything. And when I pick up that instrument, I'm Billy Sheehan, I'm John Entwistle, I'm this guy. Every I can play like all those guys because that's the confidence that the instrument brings me.
That's very important.
It's totally important.
You're actually explaining something very important that a lot of young musicians don't get, and some older ones. That the fact that it has to feel that good in your hands for you to play that well.
Yeah.
You can't force yourself through something that's really not good for you.
No, not at all.
Yeah, sure.
And even like when I play guitar, I love Les Pauls. I don't have one. The guitar that I use is a Charvel American San Dimas. It's a beautiful guitar. It's got the Floyd on it, the whole nine. But I love Les Pauls. And when Gibson started coming out with the chambered models and the single humbucker, Can't do it. I want my shoulder to hurt after I play a Les Paul. I do.
Well, they are known for being very heavy guitars.
Right, but that's the point. And when you're ripping out a Zeppelin riff on a chambered body Les Paul with one humbucking pickup, you're not doing that. It's not the same thing. It's just not. So when they went into all these oddball things, even when they threw Floyds on these guitars, it's like, why? It's not. You're taking something away from an instrument that has a very specific feel and sound, and that's why people buy it. And God bless anybody who loves them that way. Good. I'm not judging you, but from my point of view, from like a Jimmy Page point of view, who his career playing Les Pauls, Ace Frehley point of view, JJ played Les Pauls forever.
Yeah, always.
And so you guys know what I'm talking about. There's that night and day difference to it, and it takes away the feel, the tonal woods of the body. And again, it's just that weight. You hit an open E chord on a Les Paul through a stack of Marshalls, you are golden.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. And that's the beauty of it. You hit an open E chord on a chambered Gibson with a Floyd Rose on it and a single humbucker, you're not so golden anymore. There really is that huge difference to that tone.
Tremendous difference. You're talking about the wood is gone. Mm-hmm. The actual wood, they're chambering it, they're hollowing it out so it makes. A lot of people don't know what we're talking about.
No, they don't.
The chambered guitar means that the actual, a lot of the wood composition has been routed out to lighten the weight of the guitar,
right.
And it definitely changes the resonant sound of any guitar that gets hollowed out that way. But Les Pauls were known, a lot of models were known for being extremely heavy in weight, and you really hurt your shoulder after a couple of hours.
Sure,
yeah,
no doubt. I bought an Epiphone Flying V bass, black and white, aesthetically beautiful instrument. Played it, put it through my amp, and I have a heavy bottom tone. I couldn't get anything out of this mark to save my life. And I finally turned around and I took the pick guard off. I was like, oh shit, excuse my language, it's chambered. Turned around, put screws back on, brought it back to the guitar store, sold it back to him. I even took a credit. I took a loss. I didn't care. I couldn't play the instrument.
Right.
There was nothing to it for me.
Right.
I'd done a couple of gigs with just photos floating around, but nonetheless, it just wasn't my thing. And that's like, it's the same thing. The guitars are very. It's almost like having a relationship with a woman, or a man, in their point of view.
The guitar is a very personal item.
It is a very personal item.
Sure, of course it is.
And that's, it might be a bit parallel, but you get my point of view. There has to be a certain love, otherwise it's just not going to work.
It's got to feel right. If it doesn't feel right, it doesn't matter how much money you spend.
Yeah,
Bottom line. That's
bottom line.
Absolutely, bottom line.
And Brian May built a guitar. God knows what that cost. I'm sure it cost next to nothing. He had no money when he was a child.
Right, of course.
And to this day, that guitar is his right-hand man. What does that tell you? That's, 55, 60 years down the line for him.
Sure.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It really is incredible.
Yeah.
It really is incredible.
It's just, did you see the Queen movie?
Not yet. I will.
You should.
I will. I really will.
You should. It's definitely, I love the movie. The acting is terrific. And there's two things that you're going to notice. That Rami Malek, who played Freddie Mercury, is a very close Freddie in attitude and stuff like that. Just from watching interviews. I never met him. I don't know if you ever came across the Queen guys in your travels.
Yes, when I was in the Dictators, we were on Electra Records with them.
Oh, really?
So in my history of the Dictators, when we were in New York, because we toured a lot, they played Madison Square Garden twice, and we were there as guests.
Nice.
So I saw them and met the guys, and it's great that I saw the original Queen with Freddie Mercury.
Amazing.
Probably 4 times. I got to see that. So that is amazing when I think back on it. And hung out with the guys afterwards. It was amazing. It really was. It was the memorable nights, just talking, hanging, playing pool, and again twice at Madison Square Garden with Queen. Yeah. And
the movie itself is so big, and Rami Malek does such a great job of playing Freddie that the whole movie brought a tear to my eye. I'm not going to pretend that it didn't. It was very emotional with the disconnect from his family and everything. And the other thing that I noticed that made me giggle through the whole movie is that the guy who plays Brian May looks like Howard Stern looked in Private Parts. Especially when he was younger, when he first started to grow his hair out.
Sure, I remember.
The same facial features, the makeup, the whole bit. I was with someone and I pointed it out to them and I was like, check that out. I was like, doesn't he look like Howard Stern there? It almost took us out of the movie. We were laughing so hard, and we almost lost. But such a great flick, and yes, it's compressed. Yes, timelines are off. You can't watch it for that. They made that movie strictly for entertainment. And that's fine. Like, I appreciate it for what it was.
And the entertainment value of things is that really what you should go out and see it. I mean, and like I said, it's entertaining. A lot of these things are entertaining. They're not correct. I watch a lot of things about TS that I know really what happened, and that's not what happened. But I don't go out there saying it.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Right, ask me a question.
You're behind the music.
I'm not talking about it. What did you want to ask? Go ahead.
You're behind the music on VH1.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate was that? 10 being the most, 1 being the least. With cuts and everything.
As far as what?
Your story. The way that they presented your story. After, in the end, when it was cut for time and whatever.
I never saw it.
You never saw it?
I never watched it.
Really?
No.
That's fascinating.
I was against doing it at the time.
Really?
I've never seen it. Honestly, I
believe you. It's
couldn't tell you
to me
how it came out. I only heard about it, and the few things I heard about, I wasn't happy with. But there was, and you saw it, I guess.
Yeah,
I guess there were things that there was a few things that I heard about that really upset me. There was a part in it that, again, was explained to me that I had a Colt 45 in my hand, a gun, and put it on top of an amplifier, okay? Well, first of all, I've never owned cut-off gloves, and they said I was wearing cut-off gloves. And I know people who know firearms well. I never owned a gun like that or had anything like that. And I didn't own that amplifier. So that was put in, as you want to call it, liberty by someone, the producer or something, to try to make a point that never really happened, but wanted to include that, because never did I ever take a firearm and put it down or threaten someone with it. And when I heard about it, it got me so angry. I was going to hunt this guy down and go, you just did something supposed to be a documentary that's true. And it never happened.
Slanderous. That's ridiculous. I had no idea that was
nothing to do with pro-gun or anti-gun or anything. Just, I never did that.
Right, your individual, what you did, yes.
That never happened.
Right.
And that could possibly get someone into trouble.
Absolutely.
Because I was allegedly threatening someone with a firearm, and it never happened. I'm telling you, it never happened. So obviously, someone put fingerless gloves on and was allegedly a much wimpier hand than mine, because I got bear paws.
I know what you got.
And handle a gun like that. So they took, what do you call that when they take a license to?
Artistic liberty.
Right, license. And they put that in there. And I was angry when I heard that, and it's a good thing I couldn't find that producer and director, because I would have straightened them out for that.
Well, I mean, you didn't have a drug and drink drama for your episode.
Say that again?
You didn't have a drug and drink drama for your episode.
No, of course not.
And I think that plays a big part in it. I think that's a lot of what they look for. So to me,
they were looking for more dysfunctionalism, and was the breakup of Twisted Sister in 87, early 88, was it bad? Yeah, absolutely, it was bad. There's no two ways about it. It wasn't fun. It was ugly, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't threatening. And no one was threatened. No one's livelihood or welfare or well-being was ever threatened. Ever. That's not the way we did business. And that never happened. And that got me angry.
It should have. I agree. It would get me angry too.
That's not in my character to do something like that.
That's why I said it's completely slanderous. That's messed up.
It was awful. It really was. But like I said, I never saw behind the music. I never saw it. To this day, I never saw it.
Were you ever able to sit down and watch the We Are Twisted Fucking Sister movie?
I saw the movie twice.
Okay, because I know I was in the theater with you when you saw it, when you did the Q&A after the fact.
Right.
I was there that night.
I saw the movie.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of it you were able to watch without getting yourself prepared and everything for the night.
We probably did 3 or 4 Q&As at the time when it was released in various places around the metropolitan area. JJ and I did.
Yeah.
And he actually came a couple of times also. So I saw the movie. Why?
I'm just curious.
I think a lot of people made a mistake thinking that we had to do with making it. Of course, we were in it, We
Yeah.
didn't direct it and we didn't produce it.
No, I know you didn't.
So we didn't have the final say in things. They asked us about things, and I don't agree with everything I saw in that movie either, because I witnessed a lot of it.
Right.
But we all have different takes and have different memories of what went on.
Well, that's the beauty of being in a band situation.
Sure.
Is that you could have 4 of these guys, 5 of these guys in a room, and what happened. What's today? What happened June 5th, 2019? Your story's different, my story's different. There's a tie to it that keeps it somewhere somewhat similar, but there's still a way that you saw it, there's a way that I saw it.
Two ways. I didn't agree with everything that everybody said in it, but it's a perspective.
Of course
it's subjective, it's a perspective. And yeah, not all of it made me happy, but I do know that they took something that was 5 hours long and made it 2.5. Or 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I think they left out, when they did that final cut that everybody saw, they left out things that finished the story or painted it a little bit differently than what it came out to in the movie.
See, I get a feeling that a lot of movies and documentaries are like that too. And I'd be fascinated to see the footage that we didn't see in the theater, whatever was left over in the can or whatnot, Did you watch the Motley Crue biography, The Dirt?
I did not get a chance to see that yet. I will see it.
It's a fascinating movie in the perspective that it is a very warts and all story. It's definitely dramatized. I mean, I've read that book 10,000 times. The day it came out, I got it, and all that type of stuff.
I learned at an early age, and I often refer to some of these things when I tell stories. At an early age, learning about the difference between movies and reality. And I'm not going to tell a long story about this. My father was a decorated World War II hero, and there's people out there that
God bless him for his service.
He's long gone, and he didn't want to ever talk about it. He was a bastard of Bastogne, if you know what that is, in World War II. He, when I was studying World War II, when I was a certain age in school, and the movie Patton had come out. I don't know if you ever seen it.
George C. Scott.
Right, George C. Scott. My social studies teacher said, you should see this movie. And my mom was also in World War II. They didn't know each other. She was in the Red Cross. And my father would never talk about it. And my father was a tough character. There's no two ways about it. He was a tough character. He was he was a perfect example of that generation. He looked like Clark Gable's brother. He had that debonair look about him, and he was in incredible condition, up until when he passed away. But it was when I said to my mom, and I came home from school, and I said, I can't remember my name, it's a social studies teacher. But anyway, Mr. Cottrell said, we should see Patton. Can I ask Dad to go and take me to it? She goes, no, don't ask your father. I'll go with you. If you have to. I said, well, I'm old enough to go myself or anything like that. She said, don't ask your father. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He left it behind him. And it was that weekend. My father was an avid fisherman, besides working, and we went in the summer and most of the year. Every Sunday we went fishing, and I don't remember what time of year it was. I was probably only about 12 years old, 10 years old maybe, or something like that, and I remember waking up on a Sunday morning to go fishing, and it was teeming rain. It was just one of those days where the rain's just coming straight down, and it's just rare that my father said, we're not going. But he said, go back to sleep, we're not going. Okay, Dad. So I go back to sleep, and I wake up because my father was an incredible short-order cook.
Right.
He made eggs and pancakes and French toast and bacon and percolated coffee, where you're...
Yeah, I know that it sounds very well.
You had all the noises. So I smelled it. I get up, it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and I walk upstairs, I sit down, and he puts a big stack of food in front of me and my sister, and we had some friends staying at the house, so we had 5 or 6 people in the kitchen, and once everybody was done, and I was ready to go take a shower, get dressed and everything, he goes, what are you doing today? I said, no, I don't have any plans. He says, I'm going to take you to see Patton. And I just didn't know what to say. And my mother's winking her eye at me, And I said, Dad, you don't have to do this. He goes, no. You know why I'm going to do it? Because I'm going to tell you what was real and what wasn't, because I was there.
Right.
I knew he was there, and he never talked about it to me, but I will tell you what was real, because I went through the whole thing.
Right.
He was, yesterday was D-Day.
Yeah, it was D-Day.
He was there. He was there for the whole thing. So, anyway, so make a long story short, he takes me to the movie, and we get there. I think it was like 11 a.m. matinee showing, so the theater wasn't crowded, and we went down and sat down, and my father got a big bucket of popcorn, which he never really did, and soda for me, and it was like, oh, this is great. And he goes, you're going to remember this, and I'm going to tell you this. I will tell you what really happened wasn't, because I hate what Hollywood does to facts. They change everything around.
Yeah.
So the movie started, and immediately when you see George C. Scott up there talking to the troops, he goes, it never happened. That's glamour. That's Hollywood. Wipe that right out. And then the first battle scene in the movie where the Germans won against the Americans and the British, he said that happened. That was horrible. That wiped us out completely. And then the rest of the movie, he said, that happened. I happen to be standing right there. He remembers the crossroads, and I don't doubt him, because he has an extensive history in World War II.
Sure.
And then I'll never ever forget this. My father was about 6'4" and built like a linebacker. He was a boxer in World War II, and he never lost. He had hands like baseball mitts, and he's a very big and powerful guy. And I'll never forget in the movie when Patton's Third Army moved north about 250 miles. Now, in that day and age, it wasn't easy to move tanks and military and everything 250 miles overnight and fight another major battle. Well, they moved up to save the city, the American soldiers in the city of Bastogne. And when that happened, I saw my father wiping his eyes, and I tried not to look. I was sitting there like this, looking up, and he's wiping his eyes, and he goes, that happened. I was there, and I was blown away, because my father is the toughest of the tough.
Right.
There was he was as good as concrete and steel, and Kevlar, and you name it, everything tough in the world that my father was. He was a great dad, don't get me wrong.
Right.
He was great. He was funny. He treated us incredibly well. But that melted him, and I'll never forget that point where he's trying not to let me see, but he's wiping the tears from his eyes, and he goes, you remember this? That really happened. I stood there right in that town square when Patton pulled in, and so you realize that people take liberties with everything they do, even if they try to make it a docudrama and get the facts right and everything. It's still artistic liberties. They
have to sell the product.
They sell the product, and they have to do something, or it's they take it in, digest it, and give you their version of it. Whenever I saw a movie about a rock band, and you watch how directors make it so corny and stupid,
yes,
and just this is not how a band is.
Right.
This is not how they act backstage. This is not how they are on a tour bus.
Nope.
So you see all this stuff, and you're like, that's just BS.
It is.
It really is BS. And I'm sure that every, cops or police officers can watch movies and TV shows, and that's not real.
Yeah.
When you saw the movie Backdraft, and it was about fire departments and firemen, I'm sure that a lot of them go, that doesn't happen that way. This is drama. And so every walk of life that does something cool, or has, major influence on something we do, it doesn't, I remember growing up, and you would see certain sitcoms, and white people are goofy, but then you'd see a black family acting goofy, and it's like, no, black people are much cooler than that.
Yes.
You can't have that.
Right.
So, and it had nothing to do with being a racist, but they're much cooler than white people, the way they act and move, and you was like, that's too goofy for me.
Right.
Man.
You stick a guy in some room behind a desk with 3 other nerds in front of him,
Sure.
and they're writing for what they perceive that to be.
And that's exactly.
Just it.
So, and nothing against Andrew Horn, who put together the We Are Twisted F and Sister.
Yeah.
He did an amazing job and researched it for years and spent time and energy doing this. And an applause to him, because finally someone got some of it correct. But again, it's his perspective. The guys in the band, the people who influenced the whole thing, the people that he interviewed. It changes what you remember, but maybe what I remember isn't all correct either.
Yeah, of course, and that's the thing. That's where your perspective comes in. I watched
You're
that.
also talking about that movie. Let me interrupt you.
Sure.
Went back in TS history before I was even in the band.
Yes.
So I can't even comment on a lot of that stuff.
Right.
That happened before me. I didn't know JJ when he first put the band together.
Right.
Did I see the band? Let me tell you, I saw Twisted Sister in 1974 when I was 17 years old, I think it was, somewhere around there. And I wasn't old enough to get into bars, but I heard about the band, and a bunch of us got into a club in Glen Cove called Christopher Street.
Okay.
I don't know if you remember it.
I do not,
It was
but I've heard
a
of it.
decent club, and I saw the original band way before any of the guys that we know. Before Dee was in the band and Eddie Ojeda, and they rocked the house. They came out and destroyed the place. So the band always had that potential. Amazing stuff. It really was. And then again, I didn't see him again until Dee was in. Now finally, Eddie of course was in the band,
right?
And Dee was in the band. That was a few years later, '76, because I had disappeared on road with the Dictators. So
right, you were doing your thing.
Sure, of course.
So let me ask you a question, because this way we can both answer this one. Your dad being the man that he was, and God bless his heart and everything that he put into this country and defending our country.
Yeah.
The first time that you walked in the door and your hair was 6 feet high off your head and you had more makeup on your face than God could imagine, how did he react?
That's an interesting one. I am a lucky bastard, and it has nothing to do with the Bastards of Zone. Bastards of Bastogne. I'm a lucky guy when it comes to that. I was playing clubs at 16 years old in a club band, and the guys I was playing with were all 19, 20, 21, and he actually got out a few times and wanted to know what was going on. So he came to some of the bars I was playing and saw that I was responsible. Listen, I didn't even have a license yet, but I had a bass guitar and some pretty good amps, and I was playing, and he saw that I didn't hang around. One of the guys would throw my equipment in the van, drive me home, drop me off, and there was no drugs or alcohol or any ridiculous stuff. And I would get up and go to school the next day because I was still in high school at the time, and I also had a part-time job. And he saw all this, so one day he said that he came out. My mother actually told me that he came out to some of the bars, even though he never stayed up that late. And he was the kind of guy who was asleep by 8 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and he was up at 4 in the morning. That was his natural habit. But he came out, so when it came time for me to make a decision in my life, and a lot of us have been to that point where I was in the Dictators, and I had to decide whether I was going to finish college and or one of the roads that I wanted to go down at the time. I was also when I graduated high school. Now I was joining the Dictators. So I had to make a decision what I was going to do. Am I going to leave college? Am I going to do this? So I presented it when the Dictators accepted me into the band, and they said, we're going to be rehearsing for about 4 weeks, and we're going on the road with Blue Oyster Cult. I'm like, on tour? Yeah, tour bus, everything. Wow. And I'm saying, like, wow, I'm 18 going on 19, and I'm going to start touring the world. It's amazing. So I sat down with my parents. I respected them, and I gave them the story. And my father said, I don't understand the music you play. Because my parents were heavily into swing and big bands and the crooners like Frank Sinatra and Nat King Cole. They were incredible music fanatics. My mom was a musician also, and a singer, piano player, a singer. So my mom understood it a little bit more and was a little bit more excited about it. My father was excited just because he saw the inroads I'd made for myself, and the bands and the guys that I played with were all responsible. And he said to me, we'll trust you to make the right decision. I hope you'll make the right decision for yourself. I'm not telling you not to do these things, but you're the only one who's going to have all the information to make that decision. If it doesn't work out, promise me you come home and go back to college and, get your degree and things like that. And I said, absolutely. It's more than a promise. I'll do it because I don't want to, worry about where I'm going to be in 20 years from now.
Sure, of course.
So he said, and I thought about it and talked to a couple of my friends, and they said, you got to go. This is your shot. This is, your shot at the title. So it took about a week, and I accepted the Dictators, and, we rehearsed for 4 weeks, and then it was time to get on a tour bus and go on tour.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. 18 going on 19, and here I am in a tour bus and never been west of Pennsylvania in my life. Driven to Florida twice, and that was it.
Right.
And just looking out the windows in the tour bus and seeing the world go by, and I was like, how freaking cool is this, man? 2 bass guitars and a bunch of luggage in the belly of the bus, and our first show, I think, was in headlining the arena in Dayton, Ohio, opening up for Blue Oyster Cult.
It's amazing. That's amazing. That's an amazing story.
And in the Dictators, it was ZZ Top. We toured with Top. We toured with Kiss. We toured with Nazareth, Uriah Heep, Foreigner. Just you name it. Alice Cooper. It's endless. For 2.5 years, we never came home.
Right.
It was an amazing experience, including the shows that we played by ourselves. But my parents supported me. And I know that a lot of my friends, their parents didn't support them. But they said, you make that decision and you stick with it, but have a plan B. Have a plan B. Excuse me. Have a plan B.
Always.
All right?
Always.
As a plan B.
What is plan B?
Well, we went over that already. But have a plan B in case it doesn't work out. So, I was lucky I never had to exercise plan B. It was always plan A. And it worked out. So I went from the Dictators to Twisted Sister, and Twisted Sister to Blackfoot, and then, Blackfoot and back to Twisted Sister again. So I got to say that I was lucky, and I'd never take that lightly because there are hundreds of thousands of musicians that wish they had the shot at that title like I did.
Agreed.
And I still have it. It's still there. I'm still doing things. I'm coming out with my own band soon called Animal Tactics with great musicians, great stuff, right? Animal Tactics, TIX, okay, as my crew is reminding me. There you go. I'm getting the fist pumps there and the snapping of the fingers. And listen, how's that? I'm getting there.
I did love the Christmas song that you guys came out with.
Yeah, that was interesting, was it?
It was
We threw
great.
that together in 3 days.
Yes.
It took us, I thank Dina all the time for coming through last minute and singing on the song. We did 2 other songs too that we didn't release, but we did come up with that one, and that was a lot of fun, and just right away done. It was a lot of fun. There'll be a lot more of that coming up, whether it's Christmas songs or originals or some great copies. It's a fantastic band, the cream of the crop musicians.
Yes.
Man. The Canada brothers are unbelievable guys, and they're great musicians.
Ridiculous
and a lot of fun to work
musicians.
with. Yeah, a lot
First
of fun
time
to
I
work
saw those boys play, my jaw hit the floor at about 10,000 miles an hour.
Yeah,
I was impressed.
Yeah, they're great guys, and they're top-notch musicians, and we get along real well. So that's in the near future. You'll be able to come out and see us play.
I can't wait. I'm excited about that myself. So I have my good makeup story. I had, when I was a kid, and I started playing in bands.
When you were a kid?
When I was a kid.
Yeah.
But I was smaller in stature.
I see. Okay.
When I was a smaller in stature kid.
We had to straighten that out right away.
I had my high school bands and everything, and my parents weren't into it. My dad had always wanted to be an entertainer. He had done. Do you remember the show Naked City?
Oh yeah, of course.
My father had done about probably 10 or 15 episodes as an extra on that show.
Really?
I've never caught him on any of the episodes, but it was rad that he did it. I was so excited. And when he had me auditioning for movies when I was a kid, I had auditioned for Jackie Gleason's The Toy with Richard Pryor.
Oh, really?
Yes. And I was this little fat kid.
Really?
I had the same kind of build as Jackie Gleason, except I'm like 8. So, I was totally hoping to get this gig.
Very funny.
Oh, it was hysterically funny. I wanted
great.
this gig more than anything in the world because I love The Honeymooners. I love Jackie Gleason, but I obviously didn't wind up getting the part. But my father had, I tried to break into movies and stuff for years. We used to rent out cars to movie companies. I had this beautiful 83 dark blue Coupe de Ville, first year that had fuel injection in it.
Okay.
And it's in Donnie Brasco.
Is it really?
It sure is. There's a scene with
He
Johnny
was
Depp.
such a motorhead.
What's that?
I didn't know you were such a motor.
I love cars. I'm not as hands-on as you are, but my brother's a mechanic. We have a love for cars in our family. It sure does run in the bloodline. So I love this Cadillac. Cadillac was mint. And there's a scene in the movie with Johnny Depp driving and Pacino next to him in the car.
Right.
And they got a full-on view like this, and then they got the rear view of the car going down the street. It's the only scene in the movie.
You still have the car?
No, I wish I did. I blew the heads in it. And I had to get rid of it because I didn't have enough money to fix it, because I would have kept it. And the reason why I would have kept it is because my dad gave it to me. He had stepped up to a Lincoln. I mean, my father's Italian. I'm Italian on that side of my family. So it's either Lincoln or Cadillac. You already know how that was going to go, And he got his
great
Lincoln.
car story, which I'll fill in after you're done.
So he wasn't, he was kind of into it, but not really. And my mom wasn't into me doing music at all, because my mother had that Irish curse. I'm going to get sick and everything's going to break, and you know how it is with these Irish mothers. And bless her heart. But, so I did my gigs. They came to one show that I played my whole life. And this was, many years ago. And I get to the point where I'm doing theater and paint. So now I'm wearing all the war paint. Then I got eyeliner on. I got nail polish on. I'm writing stuff on my arms and black lipstick. And I come in one night after a gig, and I didn't even bother getting changed because it was Jersey. I just wanted to get home. I knew I was going to fly home. I worked the whole day before the gig. Done. Just done. Fly home, and now I can't sleep, so I'm sitting up at my kitchen table and reading the newspaper. It's always a big news head too. And my mother comes walking out. She's like, "What the hell happened to you?" So I get eyeliner dripping down my face. The war paint lines are starting to break out a little bit. And, the nail polish. I can't believe that you addressed it. Reach into my pocket. I pulled out $500 in 20s and slapped it on the table. She's like, "I got that to do this."
I just hoard myself out. Here's my proceeds.
Basically, yes. And she just looks at the money. She looks at me, shakes her head, and walks into the other room. That was the last conversation we ever had about me wearing makeup again.
That's great. That's amazing. But a quick car story for you. Of course, growing up, by the time I was 14 or 15, my friend Billy and I, we had bought a Volkswagen Bug that didn't run for like $20. We got it running, okay, and we were driving it, and we did a lot of things illegal with that car.
I'm sure you
including
did.
Driving on railroad tracks and stuff. We cut the rims and re-welded them so they fit on. It didn't work well because you had no traction.
Yeah,
the car was too light, so that didn't. Don't want anybody to think that we got in the way of a train. We didn't, but abandoned railroad tracks. But in any case, you go through everything, and of course, I started in high school. We were building cars and hot rods and racing, and so now you're talking. Let's roll up to now. I just joined Twisted Sister. My father was driving a 72 Oldsmobile Delta 88, a two-door. They had doors that were 8 foot long.
Yeah, the car was like 6 blocks long.
Oh, the car was, it's like the size of a box truck.
Yeah.
It was tremendous. And the car, when my father passed away, my mom got it. And after driving it for 3 or 4 months, she said, "It's just too big." I said, "Ma, I'll buy you another Oldsmobile Cutlass, smaller, 2-door V6." But this car had a big 350 in it,
Sure.
An Oldsmobile car. So anyway, I buy my mom. My mom gives me my dad's car. It was my father was fanatic with his cars. Mm-hmm. So I tried not to use it. I always had hot rod cars and motorcycles, but always had a clunker, what we call a bomber, to drive to gigs.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is take a hot rod and park it outside of these places,
right?
Like Speaks. Oh yeah, without a doubt, wouldn't have lasted 10 minutes outside of Speaks, or some of the places in Brooklyn or like Lemoore or anything. But in any case, so I was driving this 65 Chevy Impala. Mm-hmm. Okay, I had it parked in Queens. And it got parked. We were playing Beggar's Opera in Queens, and probably, I don't know, 79, early 79.
Right.
Guy in a tractor trailer falls asleep, runs the car over. I mean, it's a hood ornament for a Peterbilt. Okay, that's what he turned it into, along with about a dozen other cars.
Right.
And the guy was cranking down Jamaica Avenue in Queens, Queens Village, ran the car. It was destroyed. I'm glad I had nothing in the car, but you weren't coming back from this one. But we still got to play. So you know what? Dee and I went to most of the gigs together. I got to start using the car. I'm not taking a hot rod there. The car's already a 72. It's still in really nice shape, but I'm going to start using it. So let's fast forward. I did all the work on the car, all the oil changes, everything. The only thing I had to do was replace an air pump, the water pump and the alternator, okay? And now the car's got, I don't know, 160, 170,000 miles on it. And we all know what happened to cars back then, especially. They rot out, okay? Now I've got about 200,000 miles on the car. It's the middle of winter, right? I put snow tires on the back and the front, even though it's a rear-wheel drive car, just for the traction. So we played the factory in Staten Island, and I'm coming out of the side street, and I'm spinning the car sideways like this, and Dee's just laughing and rolling around and stuff. And I hit Highland Boulevard, and the car grips, and you hear boom, boom. And Dee goes, pull over, man, pull over. Your bass is going down the street. I pull over, right? I'm lucky it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's Sunday morning. The road's empty.
Yeah.
Highland Boulevard is empty. So pull over, run out of the car, grab my bass. There's a huge hole in the side of the trunk where it just bashed through when the car gripped and it sent it to the left side of the car, the port side. It just went right through the side wall of the trunk. So took whatever I could do, and now I got to drive easy home. But I put some stuff I had in the car in the way, like some books, some magazines, and took the bases and put them in the back seat because now everything's going to get soaked because there's such a big hole there. So I drive home, do both sides. I rivet stuff on, weld it on, try to put some silicone on it and prevent it from getting wet. Okay, that's fine. It worked. So drove the car, coming home from another gig in Staten Island. I'll never forget this on a Sunday. No, from New Jersey. Dee's asleep in the front seat. The car now has 322,000 miles on it, okay? And I'm coming across Staten Island, ready to hit the Verrazano Bridge, and all of a sudden I hear bang, cruising along at like 70. Big bang, smoke billowing out everywhere. Oh, it was awful. I threw a piston rod went right through the cylinder block. Cranked the car to the side. All the oil is pouring out. Steam is coming out of everything because you go through the water jacket in the cylinder block. And that's it. It's done. The car is rotted out everywhere. I have the driver's door welded closed because the hinges broke, and I didn't want to cut everything out. And I wasn't going to redo the car, resto mod or anything. So I called one of my friends. They come with a tow truck and tow me home and put the car in front of my house. And wake up a few days later and I'm like, I got to bury this thing, man. For 322,000 miles on this car. So I pull the hubcaps. And the dashboard clock, a regular analog clock, I pull it out, I mount it on some wood, with the Oldsmobile emblem on it, and to this day it still runs. I've got it plugged into a 12-volt transformer.
That is amazing.
And it still runs to this day.
That is amazing.
I still have it up on a shelf and it's working.
You mentioned rear-wheel drive. I had rear-wheel drive on that Cadillac.
Oh, yeah.
And at the time, I used to work in auto parts. And, I was in a wholesale place that sold to mechanics and, some public or whatever. And when the winter would come, I would go in the back, I would take all the biggest batteries and line the trunk of the car with batteries.
Of course, for the weight.
For the weight.
The traction.
They'd sell the batteries. It shows in stock. I was like, I don't know. I'd have to wait till the bosses were gone when spring came and start taking them out little by little and putting them back.
Yeah, of course, because you don't want to get stuck with dead batteries.
No, I don't want to get stuck. Forget about the dead batteries. I don't want my car flipping around in circles. So I was right down by Shea Stadium, by the junkyards, And every time I pulled out of a spot, you were dead in the winter in that car.
Oh, yeah.
So I had to do something.
Well, you needed there wasn't enough weight on those cars on the rear axle to give you traction.
There was nothing.
I always had sandbags in the back of my car, or my father's car, for traction in the winter.
That's what I wanted to do.
Big aggressive snow tires, but they still didn't do much.
Yeah, they don't do much.
Even though the car weighed like 5,000 pounds, it was huge.
It's the way that whole thing was distributed, and that's why I was going to take Speedy Dry and put it in the car. And I was like, how many bags of Speedy Dry it's going to take me to get this thing to stick to it? The batteries will work.
Yeah, I've had friends that have used what do they call it? Ready mix, the concrete stuff.
Sure.
Because that stuff weighs a lot in a small bag. Or gravel, 50-pound bags of gravel. Sure.
And then I hated doing gigs in the winter because I had this big ass bass cabinet. I had to put that in the back seat with my guitar, throw my basses back there, my stage clothes, everything was back there. I couldn't put anything in the trunk. I had to leave a little section of the rear window open so I could see because the cabinet was massive both ways. So it was ridiculous.
Well,
it's good times,
Again, again, being in a high school band, I had 3 acoustic 360s.
How the hell did you get 3 acoustic 360s?
Well, because I worked a lot. And yeah, I mean, there's actually a couple of pictures, a couple of photos, I believe, on the internet someplace that I saw 2 of them. I played in this band called Albatross, believe it or not. And I remember the photo was from the Rathskeller at CW Post. You see me up there with an acoustic 360 and a Fender Jazz bass.
Wow.
And it was amazing. I don't know why I ever sold them. They were incredible. It was just tough to move them. They were like moving refrigerators.
They were ridiculous.
You know, they were, but I mean, you tilted them back, they were on wheels. But a lot of people don't realize it, but the head weighed nothing. You know, because it was just a preamp.
Right.
The cabinet had an amplifier in the bottom and an 18 in it. And they were incredible. They were just
They were.
amps.
Those
Great.
old 60s, and the growl that you would get out of them.
Yeah.
Those things were machines.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like, I can't even imagine carrying one of those things.
Yeah, the head weighed nothing. Like an SVT head
throw it
weighs
around.
70 pounds. I think these weighed 20 pounds, maybe 18 pounds.
My whole rig setup, between both things, if it weighs 20 pounds, it's a lot. I got a 2x10 that I could lift with this hand, and I got a little PV 1000-watt solid state head that I could lift with this hand.
Right.
And that is a wrap. But the beauty of it is, it sounds amazing, it's loud as could be, and my back never hurts when I carry my gear out of a club.
I still have some heavy gear, not ultra heavy,
Right.
But I still do have some heavy gear, and that I can't get away from it because that always sounds the best.
It does. No, I mean, don't get me wrong, but for what I do, it works for me.
Yeah.
If I was, if I was doing anything on a national, even a regional level, I would have the SBT.
Oh, of course.
Now you're talking about it's a work investment. I can write the whole damn thing off.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
But
can you imagine, moving SVT cabinets by yourself?
Absolutely not.
It's too big and heavy.
Right. I need my little Terry Sapp to move cabinets like that for me.
Terry Sapp, yes, of course. Sappenstein, yes, of
Yes,
course.
little
Sappular.
Sappenstein. And he would.
He's a whole nother character.
And if I turned around and said, "Listen,
He's a
Terry,
great guy.
he is a good guy.
Yeah, he's a
I need these 7 million pound Ampeg heads and cabinets all put in my car this way. Do it like this, and you got 10 minutes.
And he would get it done.
It would be done.
The no toys. Can you imagine saying that to Dwayne?
No.
No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. Not at all. See, she's laughing. She knows about these things. She knows about these things. Dwayne. I mean, we could talk about Dwayne for hours and the screw ups that he does. I was with Dwayne a few days ago. I had to stop at his house. I had borrowed some equipment from him and drop it off. And the things that he says, just it doesn't make sense to us, but it does to him.
It works for him.
It definitely
God
works to
bless
him. I mean, one of his favorite lines, and I know I say this whenever we bring up his name, but one of the best lines he ever had is he was pissed off at his birthday, a surprise party. That wasn't a surprise party because he knew about it, because he was supposed to go to Europe with us one week, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
And he had to stay home that one particular weekend because his family was giving him a surprise party. Well, how is it a surprise party if you know about it? He goes, because they're asking me, where do I get this? What do I do? But he got so angry about it. He goes, I got so mad at them that I had to leave before I got there. What?
Come on.
He said that. How do you leave? He goes, you may not think it makes sense, but it makes sense to me.
So what was he trying to say? That he mentally checked out before he walked in the door?
Don't ask.
No, I probably shouldn't. You're right.
You should not
piqued
try to
my
figure it out.
curiosity.
You should not figure it out. He also says, it's not the flame that gets you, it's the heat.
That's oddly profound.
That is oddly profound. You're right.
The flame is gone, the fire remains.
It's not odd when it comes to Dwayne. It's normal.
That's completely profane.
Dwayne. Do you know that he's kind of a stage manager for Twisted Sister, although I wouldn't give him that much credit. But and real quickly, because I've said this before on this show, but it never ceases to amaze me because you probably don't know about these things, even though you know Dwayne quite well. We were playing Clearfield, Pennsylvania, and this has got to be 6-7 years ago. It was the town fair.
Okay.
And it was 45,000 people.
Good Lord, man.
Oh, yeah, it was big show.
Yeah.
Huge grandstand. It was a dirt track, stock car track. All right, so they set the stage up across the field, kind of like on the track, but across the infield, so everybody could see.
Oh, so you had like the panoramic.
Right. So I get there, and Danny Stanton and I get there early. I just want to see what's going on because I handle a lot of production stuff for the band. So as we get there, the van driver drops us off, and Danny pokes me. He goes, "Look at this." I look up at the stage, and Now, for us to look at the stage from 100 feet away, knowing there's something really, really wrong, and it's not obvious to him. So, and Dwayne is putting amps up and feverishly building things and running wires, and you can see the stage crew is just, they're, what is going on here? They're all looking at him, and he's barking out orders to himself. Dwayne, come here. You know what? You guys always do this to me. Dwayne, get over here. I don't have time for this. I got to finish the stage. Get over here. I say to him, because Danny's going, get over here. What's wrong with this picture? And he goes, What? You do this to me all the time, and you try to trick me into something. Dwayne, what's wrong with this picture? Look at what you're doing. And he goes, I don't see anything wrong. I see nothing wrong. Dwayne, where's the grandstand? What are we facing? He goes, this way. I said, why is the grandstand over there? He goes, you guys are playing this way. I said, Dwayne, this is backstage. It's a parking lot. No, you're playing this way. But why is the PA and lights facing this way? The PA's facing this way, and the lights are coming in on us. And he looks at the PA system. He looks, did they put it up wrong? Oh, man, you're still not getting it. Dwayne, you built the band's equipment, the stage, facing the wrong way. He did. The drums, the amps, everything's facing the back. So now you got to flip the whole thing around. I do? Yeah, the people are out there, Dwayne, there's the grandstand. Oh, yeah, it was, the stage crew is crying. These guys are falling down because he's positive that he's doing the right thing.
I would have lost my mind. I don't think I would have ever been able to look him in the face without laughing at him.
Playing in Finland a few years before that. Now, Dwayne's been with us. He knows where everything goes.
Yeah.
Playing in Finland, an indoor, huge show indoor, like a Coliseum. It's got to be 28,000 people. It's sold out. And again, I get there early, and Danny and I are working across the floor. We're at the soundboard for a minute, talking to George Marshall, and we're working further, and Danny goes, pokes me again. He goes, look at this picture. I didn't even look at the stage yet. And I'm like, what is he doing? Again, we walk up to the stage. Dwayne, come here. And we're looking up because the stage is, probably
of course, you're in an
6 or
arena.
7 feet off the ground. Dwayne, get over here. And he's like, you guys are messing with me. Get over here. Come here. So Danny says to him, what side of the stage does Mark play on? And he goes, this side. He goes, I'm going to ask you again. What side of the stage does Mark play on? Because you can see the bass equipment's on stage right.
Yeah.
We're looking at the stage left.
Yeah.
So he goes, here. And he goes, no, he doesn't. He plays, this is Dwayne. No, he doesn't. He plays on this side. And he goes, and what? I said, why is the bass gear over here? Because the whole stage is set up, the drums, everything. And he goes, oh, I did it again. Why, you've done this before? Oh, I shouldn't say anything. So he set it up mirror backwards.
Yeah. Like I said,
that's the infamous Dwayne.
You guys did not nearly.
Dwayne.
What's that?
Yeah, oddly profound.
Yeah, oddly profound.
You guys did not nearly carry enough video cameras around with you guys. Stuff like that is outstanding. It's
Dwayne, I'll do another Dwayne story because some people like it, some people don't. But AJ and I, God bless him, man, miss him like crazy. We would be usually, if we knew we were getting on a flight, especially where everybody had to pass down a middle row, not a plane that's that big, but you get on and you got 3 seats on either side.
Sure, regular.
And usually we were
flight.
sitting in business class up front, or first class, and sometimes everybody had to walk down the whole plane. So anyway, we would sit on either side of the aisle. Okay, and everybody and our crew and band that would come past us, we would torture them, hit them, pull their luggage, whatever it took, do everything. And Dwayne is always one of the last people to get on the plane. So here he comes, looking like a Jerry Lewis movie. He's got stuff strapped to him. He's got bags of snacks, and he's sipping on a soda, and it's just, he looks like a homeless guy carrying plastic bags in with him. So the line of people stops right here perfectly between AJ and I, and we go to town on this guy, opening up zippers, his underwear is falling out, his socks, his toothbrush, we rip the bag, there's candy falling out, and he is just trying to pick everything up. And finally, he said, and people around us are crying. I mean, it looks like a movie. And finally he says, We are hurrying up there. I'm really in bad place right now. The plane is going nuts. The whole front of the plane, the flight crew is laughing. So finally, he just goes. He leaves everything on the floor there, and people didn't want to step on it. So I say to one of the flight crew, cabin attendants, I said, "You got a plastic bag or something? Let me just pick all this stuff up." And it was a ton of stuff. We put it in 3 bags, and I put it on by my seat. So everybody gets on the plane, and then at the time, AJ's drum tech was Steve Kloos. You know Steve Kloos?
I know Steve Kloos. Love
Steve Kloos. Oh, what
great
a
friend.
great guy. What a great guy. Put up with a lot from us, man.
I'm sure he did.
Torture. Steve, the aisle's clear. Steve comes on the plane. He's got his boarding pass in his hand. He's sitting his hand. He's looking at it. He looks up and he sees me, AJ, and I sitting there looking at him. And he goes, "Oh no!" And the plane just lights up, man. Everybody is crying because he couldn't get past us. We beat the crap out of him. So those are TS and Dwayne stories about how we used to do stuff. We're running out of time.
Okay.
We really are. I would like to do this again in the near future with you.
Anytime,
when
Mark.
you finish that album, you let me know and we'll get you back on, and we'll hopefully by then we'll have our other things in place and we can play some of the music and make fun of you.
That would be fair. Listen, I look forward to it. I'll be right there with you making fun of me, so it's not like,
I hope it's great, man. I hope it's great. I got to get out. We have to get out and see a couple of your bands.
Yeah, I'd love for you to come down. Whenever you have the opportunity, I know when we work and we're doing that stuff, we're usually working at the same times. We'll align it. A weekend will work itself out.
I will go out of my way to try to show up and heckle you.
I want that more. If someone offered me a Grammy or you breaking my balls while I was up on stage, I don't want the Grammy.
Check this out, huh?
Come on, that's how I feel.
Coming on and spending time with me.
It's my pleasure. I love you, brother. Thank you for having me.
The shows go on. Like I said, the first time I did your show was 3.5 hours. We've been on here for I don't even know how many hours now, but it's been a lot of fun. Chock full of serious stuff, fun stuff, and man, great guy. I hope everything works out for you, and I hope you don't have too many health problems.
Your mouth to God's ears.
I have some pretty good jumper cables if you need it.
Hey,
keep it down outside my truck.
You'll be the first one I call.
Really? Or I'll slam on your chest a bunch.
Just do me a favor, no mouth to mouth, please.
No, it's not for me. No, not at all.
I do want to say before we sign off for the night, I want to thank everybody who's supported me over the past, few years and stuff like that. And the last few months, there's been a bunch of personal stuff that I'm going through, and I'm just going to keep that kind of under the table for now because it involves others besides me. But all the love that you've all sent and all the positive messages and everything, I want you all to know that it means the world to me. And as soon as I can, I will have my radio show back on the air, and I'll be back to the same, chops busting guy with that honest opinion that you guys have grown to love and given me love and support for. I appreciate you more than you know, and you're not fans or friends or anything like that. You're family to me. So much love to everybody out there who just checks in, tunes in. You're a part of me as much as I'm a part of you. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys so much. And if anybody ever wants to reach me, you can reach me on Facebook Messenger, on Instagram Messenger. I may not get back to you right away because I suck at that, but I will get back to you, I promise. I'm terrible at it. But that all rolls into everything. Hey, at least I'm honest about it. I'm not going to lie to you.
That whole speech was way too sincere.
And I really tried to be insincere. So
thanks for coming on, bro. We'll do it again soon.
Absolutely.
Everybody, thanks for tuning in.
You're welcome.
We had a great night, and we'll do it again next week. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.